Hello and welcome to GeekVerse Sidequest, your weekly stuff, video game news, reviews, and more here on the GeekVerse Podcast Network. I'm your host, the Daywalker in Paris, Dylan Must. And I have with me the Dinosaur Man, Taylor Field. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. A lot of surprises, a lot of good things to talk about tonight.
Look at that cheeky little smile. This guy's excited. And we got the flute guy over here, Travis Snell. How's it going?
Yeah, it's all right. What the heck was Kojima's game called? The OD? Yeah, I'm changing it. Redo it. Hang on. I'm going to do this.
And he's back. We have OD himself, Travis Snell. How's it going, my friend?
Good. I picked Flute Guy because I was rushing. I was trying to get him. Like, I'll just pick it up. But then I was like, you guys got some of your favorites, so I gotta shout the Kojima, so.
Well,
seriously though,
the Fluke guy, he was popping off.
And that I almost called it a weapon. It looked like a weapon. That thing because at first he had like his traditional flute, I think, but then he whipped out some instrument I've never seen in my life.
Yeah.
That thing was sick.
This is like something you break out when you're in the last hour in the Helm's Deep battle, and it's like this is one of the last things we have. Yeah. And Flute Guy comes up, saves the day. He's like Gandalf. He comes at the top of the hill, and
exactly. No, we are here to break down the Game Awards 2023. Hot off the presses here. We got the live chat going. That's first main shout out here. Thank you to everyone in the Discord. That was a really fun time watching with everyone. We had a great time talking about all the announcements. So if you want to do that next time, hop into the GV Discord. Always a good time over there. And then we'll just be very brief with the shout outs here before we get into it. I released on Patreon, me and Kirkland recorded the kind of early Christmas episode, the ranking of the best snow levels of all time in video games. Very fun episode. That's up on Patreon now. You can go get that nice and early. In terms of other news this week, we did a newscast where we broke down the GTA 6 trailer along with the Fallout trailer. So that's some good video game relevant content.
I'm glad we did it there because it's a
we got enough to talk about tonight. Yeah. And then next week is going to be the Game of the Year episodes for us. The next 2 weeks are going to be Game of the Year things. So stay tuned for that. I'm not going to say yet, but there might be some last minute changes going on here. But stay tuned. It'll be 2 weeks of good, fun, more Game Award-y kind of things. Let's do just quick overall thoughts. What do you guys think of the show? Just generally speaking here. I feel like this is the first time in a while that Keeley hasn't had someone storm the stage or nothing too weird. A couple awkward people talking, of course, as there always is. But for the most part, I feel like this is the cleanest show he's had in a while. What did you guys think? Travis, what was your kind of overall thoughts on this thing? He unplugged his microphone, okay. He wants to make his third introduction back on here. I'll throw over to you, Taylor. What did you think of this show?
It felt like a very safe show. There wasn't no one running on stage, no craziness like that. But
so safe, the guy was wearing a full coat of armor. Except the war, yeah.
I felt that there was certainly some highs, and there were definitely some moments where I don't want to say like dropped a yawn or two, but I was just like, it's a little slow.
It's long.
Yeah, it's a little long here. But that being said, there were some things that were really picking up speed for me. Again, I mentioned earlier some surprises. So overall, I'd say this is definitely a more positive end of the spectrum for me in terms of just the overall Video Game Awards show. And it was fun I watched it with Madison, so we were both kind of just going at it. I forgot half of what I voted for. I remember like other ones, like the more main ones, but the other stuff was like, I think I voted for this. And Madison's spitting off like what she thinks is gonna win, and she lost a few, won a few.
Okay.
So
how were her predictions? How many do you think she got out of? What is it? 20? Let's say we did 25. How many do you think she got right out of?
I think she got she got like 4, maybe 3.
Well, you didn't get that many more than that, so I think it was pretty close.
Really? I knew Hello Kitty. We'll talk about that later.
Well, that did not make a big award show. And then Travis, are you ready over there? I don't know what's going on. He's got water. He's
just picking wild moments.
All right, I'm ready. So I feel like it's interesting because we've been on a streak where we talked about this before, where he'll hit a home run, and then we get 2 to 3 shows where it's very mid, very fine. And then I think this is one of these situations where we're in a cycle. We're clearly in a cycle. I have a bigger question to ask, but that'll be maybe down the line of like, I wonder if developers and the just gaming community in general just looks at Game Awards as a much bigger thing than Summer Games Fest. Because I think that's where I'm coming from for announcements. Home run, A+, 5 out of 5. It's the classic, there's something for everybody, but there's literally surprise after surprise. They probably at the 1.5 mark, were like 1.5 hour mark to be clear, they could have stopped with the new world premieres and we would have been like, okay, that's enough. And they kept going. So that's where I think that's a pro as a show. That's what we talk about. I'm mixing because I know it's like I feel like it's a very just like almost I won't say hipster thing to have, but I guess I have the same agenda where this thing is called the Game Awards. It's not the game, like it's really not. Like it is, but it's just like it feels like the Game Awards this year more than ever felt like such a backseat. I think we've said this before. I don't think this needed to be 3 hours because I think when we hit the like 2:15 mark, I was like, okay, not that I'm gamed out, but I'm like I've seen enough. And we get that point where it's like big crescendos, big announcements, and then there's nothing for a while. They're doing that Game Awards thing where they stand on the stage and just say like 5 things in a row. So I felt like by 2:15 it was really feeling like, okay, we've been through quite a bit. And that's where I think he kind of front loaded the show too much. Like even I guess it's debatable, right? But I feel like something like Monster Hunter, which, I'll let it speak for itself. Like he set up this big thing. I was like, all right, like that was so. I think that was the issue that for pacing of the show, it started really good, but I think it was too front loaded. It's still too long. And yeah, what I've said in the Discord is I would take 25% of these announcements, same for Summer's Games Fest, especially some of these games, like they're nowhere near like that guy that worked on Bully and Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto. It's just a cinematic. It's not like this is out and that's out spring, and then I get it. If it's out March 2024, absolutely. But that game's clearly not. So that's stuff that's cinematic cutscenes. Save that for Summer Games Fest when like we talked about it. That was a bit more of a disappointment this year, right? So save some of these other things, even if they're not massive, for that, because I would like to hear. I'm somebody I've said, since if you're original GeekVerse, you know this. I like the Oscars. I like the award shows. I like hearing people's stories. I like people going on there. Moments like, remember who's the guy that from Leave Behind or Takes Two? Who's the guy that said fuck the
Joseph
Oscars?
Ferris.
Yeah. I think with the way the speeches are right now, you might not get that speech because he would get cut off 30 seconds in. Unless you are a big legendary developer or you're winning Game of the Year or you're a celebrity, you're not really getting the time. And I'm still someone that, like, I love the announcements and I love everything. That is the hype. I want that too. But I think for the Game Awards side, it feels like such a minor thing now that it feels a little disappointing on that aspect. So that's why minor spoilers. I couldn't give this a perfect score for that kind of pacing wise, because it just felt like it's an excuse for Jeff to show some really cool shit, which is cool, but just a little more awards and a little less announcement, especially when I said some of the stuff doesn't need to be here. But overall was a good time. And yeah, the Discord, it was tons of fun. And yeah, there's tons of stuff that was very hype announcements. I think all the winners were, even if I don't agree with like that was my pick, I don't think there was any like head scratchers like, oh really, this happened? Like maybe fighting game, I'm still scratching my head, but you and Taylor stayed strong on that. But yeah, so that's where I am. Announcements wise, not holy grail, but one of the top tier ones. Pacing, maybe needs some refining, but I don't think it's gonna get refined. I think Jeff's gonna keep this going.
Yeah, well, first of all, what you said about kind of the awards part of it and the speeches, that like I want to have a full discussion on at some point. Maybe when we have a slow news week, we'll do that full discussion, because there's certain things in here that like that best indie game didn't get a speech. Like that hurts my soul. Like debut indie did, that was cool, but like best indie game doesn't. Like that seems like a weird decision. And then
I saw tons of people like you wanting that. They were excited and like it's 20 seconds and like see you later.
The thing that makes zero sense to me, well, it makes sense, but I think it's stupid, is that best adaptation got a speech out of all of these.
Oh, I know.
So not even a video game is getting a speech up here. And of course, it's like Neil Druckmann, and like Neil Druckmann's in every single Jeff Keighley thing. They're best buddies. So in that way, it makes sense. But I just feel like there's other awards too, where a developer is not even there. So just like some random publisher guy, not necessarily random, is like accepting this award. It's like, why don't you just cut those ones? If we're not actually going to get a speech from someone who made this game, then put that behind when you have 25 or I guess 30 categories if you factor them all in there. It just seems like there's easy ways to edit that. And then Jeff says like, oh, we don't know the winners until we reveal them. It's like, well, that's a fucking lie. Like you absolutely know what's going on here. So there is definitely some room to fix it. But I thought this was the best Game Awards in at least a couple of years for me here. I think the pacing of it was really good. I definitely have that expectation nowadays that the awards are the secondary part of this. And if people want... I mean, the thing is, there's so many other award shows, and no one tunes into those because those are only about awards. So I think there's two sides to that, where people want more awards and less announcements, but then people don't watch the shows that do that. So it's like, well, make up your mind. Like, what do you want? Because there's that for you, but I know you're not watching Dice or Golden Joysticks and all that stuff. So I don't know. Obviously, this is the most prestigious one, but the reason it got to that point. Yeah. But the reason it got there is because people come for the announcements. That's why people tune in for the most part. So it's a difficult issue, but yeah, one I'd like to definitely talk about more in the future. But overall, I was very impressed by this show. even for me, because there's a differentiation between like a game showing off a new trailer or a world premiere, and then like the things that are ads, like they're spending, paying money to just get like their new ad in there. But I felt like that stuff was also intriguing to me, or it was showing me new stuff. Or like, I don't know, everyone was going ham about this Lego Fortnite thing. I didn't actually watch it, so I was like, okay, I'm actually down to see what this looks like via the Game Awards. And so there was a lot of things like that where honestly there wasn't really much of a dull moment for me. There was like 2 or 3 spots, but the fact that this is like hours and hours long, I was really impressed. I thought it was really good. There was no hiccups. There's a couple awkward guests, as there always is, but I was really impressed by this for the most part. I'm happy with the winners, like generally across the board, and yeah, some really hype announcements for me personally, but also just for other people as well. So I feel like there's good variety. Whereas we've memed on that sometimes, like a Keeley show will only have like a bunch of sci-fi space horror things, or these ones have a bunch of farming sims, but this one seemed to have something for everyone. So I think that's probably pretty exciting. I gotta say, in our Discord, people were being mean to Sydney Goodman, the host of the pre-show. I thought she was great. I thought she was so fun. So I just wanted to give her a quick shout out there. I thought she was very charismatic and funny, and like 1,000% less awkward than like Anthony Mackie and like some celebrities.
I'll give you that.
Out.
I don't think she was awkward for me. It was just like, I don't think she was bad either. It was just some of the lines they fed her to, like, oh, tell this story, say it this way. I was like, oh, I don't know if this is the best.
She got some chuckles out of me. So what else can you ask for a pre-show?
Yeah.
I think she did good. But how about we first start with talking about some of these awards, because I don't think we'll spend hours on these. But here is the results of our predictions. In 4th place, Taylor Field with 10 correct picks. How do you feel about that?
10. That's double digits. I feel so happy that I made it to double digits.
I'm trying to look through here. What would be the highlight? Well, me and you were correct with fighting game. That was like
that was big.
That was Travis and Kirkland versus me and you. Street Fighter definitely won that one. So congratulations on that pick. I feel like you picked a lot of Tears of the Kingdom. So you got that for action adventure, which I mean we all did. And
what did what did Sumuli say when he announced that? Is like, what did he say? Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom. Is that the category that he
did say that? Yeah.
Obviously.
No surprise here.
Yeah, no surprise.
I thought for a second he was gonna. I thought it was a gimmick, like a gimmick that his boot was like, because he's like, oh, all our body. I thought I was gonna lead into something. No, he just spent 2 minutes on his fucking foot. It's like, I don't care, Sung-Shi.
Like, get back to the script scene.
Yeah, like, is his foot actually broken, or is that just like a prop?
No, I think it's actually broken. If not, why do you waste my time?
In 3rd place was Travis with 13.
I
wins.
felt it. Because I think I had a record for when we started the podcast. I went, it's like much like Music League. I had like 3 years where I'd won, but this year I do attribute a lot of it to a lot of the categories. I was like, I'm going off purely word of mouth here. But yeah, I felt, especially once I lost Mortal Kombat, I was like, oh, it's over now. I thought that was a lock there. So.
You had a good run with Game of the Year, Game Direction, Narrative, and Art Direction, like those 4 first categories.
Heavies,
you got all those, and then the one for Games for Impact, you picked Chia. You were the sole Chia picker, and that won. So that was like was when because that was early on too. I'm like, ooh, that's a really good point for Travis to have early on in this. 2nd place, but he's actually in last place because he's not here to do this episode with us. Is Kirkland Patzer with 17 award wins. So he was on a roll. I was kind of scared there for a bit.
We for like 3 weeks kept being like, yeah, Thursday, we're all there for Game Awards, and then like to yesterday, I double booked myself. We said it many times.
Taylor and Kirkland, it's always you guys with your double bookings. Come on with your double
No, I'm
bookings.
here. He went to the movies.
No, but that's your go-to. That's your go-to if you have to bail. It's like double booked. And then I took it again. I think for the 2nd year at least in a row here with 18. So just one above Kirkland.
Nice.
So it was very, very close.
Congratulations.
Yeah, there was a couple, like Best Sim Strategy and Best Multiplayer. I was the only one to pick that correct, so that gave me like Pikmin 4 with Best Sim Strategy. I just had a feeling. Best Multiplayer, I picked Baldur's Gate there. Those were some good points for me where no one else got one. And then there were a few where just me and Kirkland got like Best Indie Game, I guess, and then Mobile Game as well, Debut Indie, some of those. And yeah, so very, very close race between myself and Kirkland there, but that was fun. Any, I don't know, I guess any big surprises or anything that you guys feel like got snubbed here tonight?
No, I honestly, like I said, it's a broken record, but I just thought Mortal Kombat. I thought Mortal Kombat has been out for a while. I just feel like I heard the chatter more. But yeah, that would be the only one. I feel like if the predicted winner didn't win, it was like the one that was like, oh, if this doesn't win, this one will win. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like there wasn't. And maybe that's something where, because last year, wasn't it? Was it last year before? Was an indie game that won, or a smaller game that won?
I don't think. I mean, well, it was It Takes Two, like that Joseph Ferris game that won in 2020.
Does that count as an indie? That counts.
No,
right?
it's EA,
No?
but it's
Yeah, I guess
definitely a
so.
smaller game in terms of what we think of for the game.
I guess even then, I feel like those are in contention. But I think when it's the smaller games in the game awards and that happens, you're still like, wow, like the little guy won. I don't think there's anything here that was. I feel like this was a pretty. I'm saying as the guy who's in third place, but I mean, like for what people were saying, what we talked about, it was either or, and it all made sense. And the spread went exactly how we thought, as far as like some of us thought, at least with Alan Wake and
Right.
Zelda, like that trifecta to me felt very
Alan Wake
predictable.
winning like a lot of the artsy kind of
Yes,
categories, Baldur's Gate 3 winning the kind of more weirder sort of categories, I'll say, and then like Game of the Year as well, and then just a lot of other games just kind of taking one award. It was generally the theme. So there was a good spread, I guess. The only category that we were all wrong on was innovation and accessibility.
Yes.
Myself, Taylor, and all three of us thought Spider-Man 2. Kirkland went Mortal Kombat, and it ended up being Forza. That was the only category where we all completely missed. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 didn't take any awards home, which too bad for Insomniac, but
Yeah.
they got enough wins over there on their side of things.
They got the best selling PS5 game. I think they're okay. They're doing fine,
Yep. Taylor, any bold takes for you from the awards part of it, or nothing too crazy?
I don't think there's anything too crazy. Everything that would be winning their category, I feel like, okay, yeah, like even if I was wrong, it's like, oh, it makes sense. Like they'd be high in contention in regards to like what we discussed on the predictions episode. So it was either this one or that one. So it kind of lessened the blow for any surprises, I'd say.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I was honestly, last few days I was starting to think, man, maybe Tears of the Kingdom is going to win Game of the Year. Ended up, of course, going to Baldur's Gate 3. Very happy for them. That is such a cool win, such a kind of underdog story as well, I feel like. So really, really happy for them. And yeah, now that game has, I guess, shadow dropped on Xbox, I'm going to buy it this weekend and probably start playing it next week. Or this month at least, I'll definitely start checking it out. So very excited to jump in there and see the big game that I missed.
There must be something like, because I was someone that never played Witcher. I got into 3 and really loved that. And I don't know if that's going to happen to me with Baldur's Gate 3, but same thing, Baldur's Gate 3 comes out. It's like something about that third title just comes in and they're going to get a huge bump off the Xbox, but just in general with this, because I feel like there's still a lot of people in the gaming community that know it, but I feel like Baldur's Gate is not like I don't think it's like a huge name, so they're going to get a big boost, coming up in the next little bit for more of the general audience people and people that just see, oh, this one Game of the Year, it must be the game to play, and Boxing Day sales, stuff like that. So,
right.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was surprised by this, but they did like the best fan voted game, and that also went to Baldur's Gate. So I thought that was interesting, because I thought that's a case where, man, when you get like rabid Zelda fans in here, like that seems like an easy way they could rally together and get that one. But like that just shows the power of Baldur's Gate, is that it's even got the fan vote. It had the fan, like that 10% fan vote was potentially like the difference maker. So shouts to them for that. That's pretty cool. Let's get into the announcements. We're going to go through this chronologically, so the hype levels are going to go up and down and whatnot. But I want to start with the pre-show. Normally, I feel like this is maybe a skippable element of this, but I thought there was actually some really cool announcements in here. It started out with Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake. This is coming out in February. So this is from It Takes Two, Joseph Ferris, that developer. This is their, I don't know if it was their first game, but it was a game that came out, well over a decade ago. A game that I really enjoyed back in the day, actually. I had a good time playing through. It's kind of interesting where each control stick controls the different character, so it's kind of like a co-op game, but you play by yourself, if that makes sense. So it's interesting to see them go from that to A Way Out to It Takes Two. They're obviously very focused on kind of co-op sort of centered gameplay, but I thought it looked fantastic in terms of the visuals of it. I don't think it's one I need to revisit in the year 2024, but that do anything for you guys, or did you? I don't think you guys played that. Maybe Kirkland played it back in the day.
first time I heard about it today.
I'm same boat.
After their Game of the Year winners, any interest in going to check it out? Seemed like your cup of tea?
No, I'd want to play those games that I still not played from him, like the original ones that have like that one that won Game of the Year and stuff like that. They're
Yeah.
still like that's on a backlog. It's on a list somewhere, but no, that was my thing at the pre-show. There was stuff that I didn't know or just stuff that the Discord was popping off, so I knew there was interest in it. But there's a lot of stuff where I was like, oh, I have no touchstone of this, or it wasn't a Travis game there. But and again, the crowd was hyped. I heard some cheering. So I'm like, okay, people must be liking this. So.
It's an EA guy, so it could come to Game Pass. Maybe not like day one, but like within
or
a few
EA
months
Play.
Or something. So yeah, EA Play to Game Pass.
Oh right,
whatever.
they are right. I forgot they're combined now. Duh.
Yeah, so I mean they kind of are, I guess. So that's that one, and then a very surprise announcement for me. There was some teasing of this a few days ago, but the developer Daniel Mullins from Inscription announced his new game here called Pony Island 2. A sequel to his previous game, Pony Island, which I didn't know about until I played Inscription. Then I was so in love with that game, and it was so creative and weird that I went back and was like, what are these other games that this guy's made? And he made this game called The Hex, I believe, and Pony Island was another big one that people talked about. A game that like was so under the radar, though, so it was cool to see that getting a sequel, and I'm absolutely going to go back and play that now. And I was surprised to see April of Darkness, a Patreon supporter as well as hanging out in our Discord had played that game too. So I thought that game was super under the radar. So I'm curious what she thinks of it. She seemed pretty hyped on this announcement. So I thought it looked really cool. I thought it was going to be like a sequel to Inscription because it had a very similar energy, a lot of the same kind of sound effects and character designs and whatnot. So this makes me even more excited to go back and check out that first game. So I don't think this is necessarily your guys' cup of tea. Gameplay wise, I don't even know how to describe it, but it just looked like a freakish odyssey, which is what I'd expect from that developer.
Visually cool though, like lots of stuff that stood out there. So yeah, no, I had the same thing. Pony Island 1. I feel like that name would have stuck out, so it didn't. So it's another one that has eluded me.
Taylor, jump in if you want to say anything. If not, I'll just keep going.
Just keep going. Keep going.
Okay. I will be skipping some things here, so if I miss any, you guys can bring them up later on. But there's obviously so much here.
Yeah.
So maybe let's get this next one. But Assassin's Creed Nexus, was this a new announcement, Taylor, this VR thing? I don't think I knew about this.
No, the Nexus VR thing was something that came out, I think, a few weeks ago, and they announced a while ago. People are raving about it because it's like it's VR Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't have a VR set, so
Is just this reiterating it? Is it coming to a new VR platform? Like, what was the announcement here?
I don't actually know. 100%.
The end screen just said Oculus and PSVR, so I don't think it was. I think it was just like a get it out in front of people because I'm like you don't. I had no idea about that, so I think this was
Oculus.
just hey.
Well, I think it.
Yeah, I guess it was getting the word out.
It might have been on something. I want to say like so. Doesn't like Meta have like a VR system or something like that? Because I don't.
MetaQuest. Yeah.
I think that's what it was, and I don't think it was on Oculus. So
Okay.
maybe that is what it is.
I thought those were the same thing. I don't even know with VR anymore.
I don't know either.
We're not the VR podcast. I've reiterated that.
Sorry.
And then this game I thought looked really cool called Harmonium, and this seemed to be this kind of came up with the accessibility segment where it seemed like this whole game is done through sign language, and then they have like nice subtitles on there and whatnot. So just seemed like a really cool like accessibility forward game, and I think that's really cool because obviously the movement for accessibility has been amazing in the last few years, especially from like Sony and whatnot. But to see a game that's really focusing on that, like I can't think of another game that has sign language in it. So that's pretty awesome. So I thought that was a cool show. It looked awesome too. I like the art style of it. So I don't really know what the gameplay of it is, but it seems like maybe more of a narrative or experiential sort of game.
That's what I was trying to figure out the whole time. I was like, okay, you have this character that's signing, and they also said like has a lot to do with music. So I was trying to think, okay, how do you incorporate these two with gameplay? So yeah, I was curious. I'm curious to see more in the every once in a while. I just remember those 24 hours, but no, but the girls were liking it because they watched pretty much the whole show with me, and it was interesting for them. And they did stress that too. They're talking about how it could be like for a younger generation to kind of have a story, feel connected. So I don't know if it's something that I'd be getting right away or anything like that. I have a huge backlog, but what I saw looked, impressive is the wrong word, and I don't want to say unique because I feel like Jeff Keighley said unique 25 million times, but it looked different. It looked like it is doing something that other games haven't done or are not trying to do, and that's what you can do. If you can't be bigger, be different.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys think that wins innovation and accessibility in the year that it comes out?
Yes, as long as it's decently made. Yes.
Yeah, I could see that happening. There was a very cool announcement. I thought a crossover between Dave the Diver and Dredge, which were both either in best debut indie game or best indie game category. I forget which one they were in, but that looks like a really fun crossover. I think that's a really great idea. So excited to see that. And then we kind of got into the main show. And I think the first host up there was Christopher Judge, who, was joking about his long speech last year. He announced the best performance, but I really like that segment. I thought that was fun, that he was kind of joking about himself lightheartedly, and then he just cracked me up a few times. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was good. Nice little shot at Call of Duty. That's always a good time.
Yes, that too.
So.
That was very good.
Another
Do you agree with that
company I won't work
statement, Taylor, as a Call of Duty player?
No.
You don't?
No.
You didn't. You have no semblance to it, because I guarantee you didn't even touch the campaign. No.
You touched it because you talked
I
about
did
the
touch
review, or
the
you lied,
campaign,
one of the
yeah,
other.
but I didn't complete it. It's hard for me to complete Call of Duty campaigns these days.
Okay,
Well,
so
this
it
one's
must be
apparently
longer
really
than-
short.
Yeah, it's less than 10
Oh,
minutes long.
that is true. Like I did hear that from my cousin that it was super short. But I mean,
So then that was
I
his
haven't
joke.
beaten it.
That was his
I haven't
joke that
beaten
it was
it.
short, and you said no.
Well, because I haven't beaten it, so I don't know for sure. Because if my cousin's saying it's like, well, it's this long. I mean, I don't know.
Are you
how
saying you
long it
can't trust
takes.
your cousin? Like, is he shady or something?
I don't know.
Oh, there
He's
you
saying
hear
it.
No.
He's saying it
first.
without saying it. And then we got the great Matthew McConaughey coming up to talk about his
Yeah.
new game, or his first, I guess, performance in a video game. His first game called Exodus, which was kind of I guess there was a little gameplay. The gameplay was like less than 10 seconds, and most of it was like CG
Nice.
kind of
I
cutscene
didn't
and
even
whatnot.
catch that.
So it's a bit hard to get a vibe of what it is. Looks like a third-person action adventure sort of thing. So it's kind of hard to get much from it. But he seemed to stress the time dilation part of it. I think he was making a little Interstellar joke, but that seems like the game's also playing on that too. So kind of fun that he did that role of Interstellar, and then he's doing a game that maybe has some similar ideas to it. So definitely on my radar. Seems
Yes.
interesting, but as with all these things, I need to see a lot more before I know if it's going to be a game for me.
Problem is with celebrities, when they come out and they talk about these things, what do we have? Do we have a Mads Mikkelsen in Death Stranding, or do we have a Vin Diesel in Turok? You never know what you're like. Just
mean
because
Ark?
Matthew, yeah, what is it?
Arc.
Oh, it's Ark, not put him in Turok too. Why not? That works out.
In my mind, that I didn't even track. I was like, yeah, you're right.
But so it's like him coming out is not the full on stamp of approval. Do you know anybody? Because I always lean to Dylan for this, for who made the game, like a history they have, so I can kind of get like a temperature check on them.
I didn't
You look-
I didn't
okay.
write it down, but
look
I'll
at-
see if I can find them.
So the two things I'm curious about with this trailer is, one, no spoilers, but I feel like a lot of things they were touching on was very similar to Starfield that had just happened. And I
Okay.
just felt, I remember you and I talked about this, and I said, oh, they did something really cool that a video game really hasn't done yet. And this trailer was something like, oh, we're doing that. I was like, I kind of just did that in Starfield, so it could be good. And the second thing, that it looked interesting, looked cool. I like the idea of him leaving his wife, girlfriend, whatever. Very odd for McConaughey to introduce the trailer, and he's not in the trailer at all. There's not a single... Like, is he just it wasn't his voice. They didn't use a face for him. So I thought they were going to do what they did with Mads a couple years, many years ago now, with Death Stranding trailer 2, where at the very end it was a trailer, then at the very end it was Mads Mikkelsen, like, oh my God. So I thought
Right.
they were going to show him there. So very odd that he came out. So I'm guessing he is probably the villain role that has like you meet him in the back. Because why wouldn't you, he came out to introduce it. Why wouldn't he be all over this trailer? Why wouldn't you even have a shot of McConaughey in like a game render?
Yeah, seems like a weird idea. I didn't really catch that his voice wasn't in there, but
No, because
I'm also writing down notes as I'm doing this, so I don't
That's
catch
fair.
every detail.
It's
but,
just
yeah.
like if Cyberpunk, when Keanu came out, if he was like, here's the trailer, and they didn't show any of Keanu, I'd be like, well, that's a little odd. So that's what I was just surprised about here. I'm the same as you, it's on my radar, but it's a definitely wait and see.
Right.
Definitely.
I definitely had that vibe with Simu when he talked about Storm
cast.
the hell is that
Stormgater
name
or
of that
something
game?
like that?
Stormgate. Yeah, that's the one. Where I was like, is his voice even in this trailer? Like maybe I don't really know. I didn't.
Well, he was
hear
the villain, right? Because the
I didn't hear
closing
him.
scene,
Ah!
I was like
I
talking.
couldn't tell if that was a joke or if he was saying that was actually his voice in that.
It was
I
hard
could tell
to
if
trust
anything
him.
was a joke. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
very
with the
controversial
leg
guy.
thing. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what's going on with him, but yeah. So I'm reading a headline here. I'm pulling a Taylor, but all I can see is that it's ex BioWare devs, so Mass Effect
Okay.
trilogy. So that's that's pretty good. That's pretty good, right?
Better than
Space?
nothing,
Yeah.
better than like a game that's like, oh, we made Turok 5.
Yeah, but I believe it's like a new studio, so
Yeah.
kind of interesting for McConaughey to jump in on that kind of thing. I feel like the big, huge celebrities that go into stuff is more like going into very well-known properties.
That's
or
like he knew
well-known
a guy or one of his friends is at
It's
the
possible.
studio, and it's like, hey, you want to do something? But that's cool because we got one coming up too. That we had a couple like new studios, and that's exciting. I like that we have potentially some new people getting out. Be like, hey, what are we doing here? So
Yeah, definitely. Any thoughts on that one, Taylor? You're a space guy. You like a good space thing.
I think it definitely piqued my interest. I'm curious to see what's going on, like narrative wise, but it's not like a co-op experience, right? We didn't get anything talked about like that because
I
it seemed
don't
like there were
think so.
two
No
people,
idea.
kind of like two main characters. It seemed like, but
it looks like she might disappear, right? Because he does say that line where it's a day for you, or it's a day for me, but years for you. So I feel like it could be like a Interstellar. He comes back and she's like an older woman who can't go on the adventure.
It's a co-op game where you both play your own single-player game and don't communicate at all.
Ooh.
so the one player just has to wait for the other person to play
Yeah,
the whole
they-
game and come.
They just wait, yeah, in like a
100
black
years.
hole.
Yeah.
What is a game? Support game, best support game for years to come.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just
yeah.
waiting on that hole
Ongoing, yeah.
for your husband. Yeah.
So good. And then we got some God of War Ragnarok Valhalla DLC, which I just, it's such a mouthful. I said it in our Discord. I'm sick of the word Valhalla. I'm sick of the word Ragnarok at this point. I don't like
Yeah.
these words anymore, but obviously it's very fitting.
Same as
so this-
war. Get rid of war. You know, we've had enough of it.
We've had enough
Retire.
war. Get rid of
Yeah.
Wario. Just call him EO from here on out. God of War Ragnarok. This is getting a DLC December 12th. This is the first and the only DLC for this game. I don't know. Maybe they'll come out with more. This is like a roguelike mode. It's free DLC. So I'm somewhat interested. I would be more interested if it was like story DLC. I like the combat in the game, but I don't love the combat. That it would be something I just want to go back in there for hours and hours and grind out more combat because I have to imagine that's what this DLC is going to be focused on. I'm sure there'll be some DLC or not DLC, some story stuff sprinkled in there. So it is free, so I might check it out. Seems cool though, and free DLC. It's hard to complain. It's interesting that this is coming out, and then also Last of Us Part 2, when they're doing that remake, remaster, whatever of it, also has like a roguelike mode being infused into it. So I don't know where that comes from. If that's like a Sony thing from up ahead saying, hey, make your DLC, or like let's get some roguelikes going on in our big AAA games. It's kind of an interesting thing. I wonder if it'll become a trend or if it's just these two games. But Travis, I know you love 2018, still haven't played Ragnarok, but any interest in this mode? Does that bring you in?
Yes and no. I guess it's tough for me to speak on because I haven't played that one, so my interest is just getting to that main game there. So that's on the bucket list. It's just that like I don't know why I love that first game, but also it's just like, okay, I know this is going to be more of God of War, and I think there's just other newer games I want to jump to, but I just thought it was cool. Very cool reveal where it was just a throne in water. He walked in, crowd pop big. Cool that it's DLC. That's happening too. It's free, but it's like it's 5 days away. So
yeah.
I just thought the announcement was handled really well, and I wonder if this is the only one, because they did a story DLC for the first game, right? So I feel like
Did they? I don't
or
think
did they
so.
not? Okay, well then this would probably be it. They'll probably put a capper on it. I don't know where I was going, but yeah.
I think people originally thought Ragnarok was going to be like a Miles Morales, like smaller game to follow up 2018. But that obviously wasn't the case.
I remember those days.
Taylor, I know you're a big Valhalla fan, so
You going?
Love Valhalla. I think it's cool that it's just free DLC. I think that's fantastic for the community. You can't go wrong with that.
you truly can't.
No.
Let's go for a big walk. We'll be right back to talk about more Game Awards. Okay, we are back. The next game is called Big Walk, and
Very
this is
nice.
the follow-up game from the
I like that.
Untitled Goose Game.
You
That's a
fucking
top-
had me there.
That's a top
Developers.
3 Dylan GeekVerse moment right
Like that?
there. That's a great transition.
So yeah, this is an equally weird and strange and intentionally goofy game from that developer. It's surprisingly like Goose Game, I think, came out in 2018. Wow, is that even correct? Maybe it was later than that. That's probably incorrect. I'm gonna say it's 2020. Maybe I just totally lied about that. It's been a while though, and
I'll find out.
yeah, look it up. I feel like I don't know why my wires are crossed. It's definitely an even numbered year. But I really dug this trailer. I bought Goose Game. I still haven't played it. I've been meaning to, but what's the answer there, Travis?
2023. No, I'm joking. 2020 is when it.
Okay.
September.
I don't know why I thought 18, but thank you for correcting me on that. I love this trailer. I thought it was just so weird and funny. The sounds and like the voice acting from the characters was so good. The animations and like the design of these characters, where they're just essentially like snowmen, like 3 orbs placed together with like big floppy arms. like the comedy element of it is working for me. I really like the music was like weirdly unsettling, so that was a strange mixture with the very comedic tones of like the characters and whatnot. So I really like the look of this one. This is definitely going on my list. I'm gonna potentially check it out. I don't see this as a big Travis or Taylor game though. But what do you guys think of this one?
This got me. So I have very little experience on Untitled Goose Game because I feel like no, you were still around. Like I feel like it was in your parents' basement. You were playing it, and maybe I held the sticks for a little bit. Like,
I've never played the game, so that can't.
You've
be true.
never?
I own the game, but I've not.
Whose
booted
basement
it up.
were you in, where you held the sticks for a moment? Then
It's Dylan's dad. Then he's a big Untitled Goose
Oh,
Game.
yeah.
But I
Seems
feel like
his
I've
kind of game.
had maybe it was. Is it just a PC game or is it on consoles?
It's on everything, I think.
Then I feel like it must have been a late night stream. Like I feel I've definitely toyed with it, but I was never like, okay, I gotta invest in
We
this.
gotta get to the bottom of this. I'm very curious what the scenario would be where you've played this.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking then also you'd never did a stream at your place, but I'm thinking it's like, well, you did stream the Custard Dome. I feel like it was a Custard Dome. It was on someone's console.
I bought this game recently on the Switch, so it definitely was not that.
No, but like no other people could have had it, right? If they brought their console. I feel like it was a 4 a.m. or I'm just having a Mandela effect. Either way, didn't have much interest in Entitled Goose Game. This, what I loved about it is it feels very weird. It feels very almost like kid animation like. And the music's very whimsical. Not actually, it's kind of kooky in a way. Not so much whimsical, but like it doesn't have like scary vibes. But I love the trailer is like they're following these other people that look like them, and they have this one shot where they have binoculars, and the guy's like he's going and he like runs down the hill like I was like, why is there like a thriller aspect to this trailer with none of the vibes? But that's what was getting me. I was like, okay, this is something that I have again a long list, but this is something I hope would eventually go on a Games Pass or something because it piqued my interest. I was like, okay, I just want to know what the heck to do in this game. This could be a game also I play for like an hour and be like, okay, I'm good. Like this is not for me. But the trailer got me. The vibe got me. It stood out. So no, surprisingly, I was interested in this. So
Nice, good stuff.
I was not as much. Me and Madison were looking at it, kind of looking back and forth each other, like this is kind of peculiar. Yeah,
Too weird for you? Fair
A little
enough.
too weird.
yeah, A24 of games for Taylor right there.
I think these things were announced earlier, but Fortnite was showing off their Lego crossover, which I heard people talking about it, but I didn't watch it until this, and I was kind of blown away. I'm like, this looks nothing like Fortnite to me in terms of like the gameplay, but I guess it's just like a mode where you just go and build stuff, and you're not doing the battle royale. I don't even
still
know.
have no idea. Yeah,
No
I still
idea what's
have
going
no
on.
idea.
And then also there's rocket racing, which makes sense at some point. Epic bought Psyonix, the Rocket League creators, so it makes sense that they finally have their content going into that machine. So it all looked great for Fortnite fans. Holy shit, the game keeps on giving. You're gonna have it for till the end of time, I think, that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Our grandkids will be playing it.
It makes me just wonder because the building aspect that they were doing with the Lego, like just the sound effects, everything, the aesthetic was really like it works with Fortnite, and I can understand like how Lego and Fortnite go hand in hand by Lego just taking advantage of that creative gameplay mechanic that Fortnite has established with their build mode, and it works for really really well with Lego. But it just goes to show like, if Fortnite wasn't a thing like with this, like Lego could do so much just on their own, because if this was its own game not attached to Fortnite, I probably would make that time to go into it.
Why is the Fortnite? Because it seems like the Fortnite element of this is almost non-existent. Like it's really just a Lego game, but you have to boot up Fortnite to access it. So why does that turn you off?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I've gone through the Fortnite, and Ruben tells me all the time it's changed, and you should get back into it. There's so much like there's non-build mode, there's build mode, and most people play the non-build mode, and I don't know. I feel like I'm very tapped out from playing the Fortnite experience.
But it seems like you can go in here and you don't have to.
try.
You don't really have to play Fortnite. You're just like playing this Lego game. Like I don't think this is a battle royale. It would be my guess. I think you just play. Minecraft.
No. It just seems like you're facing the elements. Like nighttime rolls around like Minecraft, and then the undead like come up from the ground, stuff like that. So
it's crazy stuff. Very crazy stuff. There was a new trailer for Hellblade, which is coming out next year. I was hoping for a little bit more, like maybe a date or something like that, a specific date. I hope it sticks to 2024. I feel like this game's been... I mean, this was one of their big like console announcement games, and it's still not out and doesn't have a date or a month. So not necessarily concerned about it, but I just want this game to come out already. I I feel like I've seen it enough at showcases and whatnot. So hopefully it's out before Summer Game Fest. That's my hope here. And I feel like maybe, especially after Starfield and Redfall both getting delayed and whatnot, maybe Xbox and the team over there is just concerned to announce dates until they know them 1000% written in stone, and that's totally fair. And I also have complained when things get delayed, and so it's better to maybe not put those dates on if you don't have them. But it just feels like with Hellblade, you've had enough time. Come on, let's get this game out the door already.
It's people like you. They're like, we're not putting a date on it. Dylan Musk, he keeps complaining about these dates. Yeah. No, I thought it was a good showing. I think you're right where it suffered when they announced the second one. It was just like a 15-second or 30-second teaser just to be like, oh, we're making number 2. But that's the problem is you kind of put it out there. So now we've had a lot. But the music stuff, I'm always mixed. I like the orchestra. I don't know if we need the separate bands in there. So I'm kind of always meh on that. But I thought it was another good showing. I'm interested to try and get to this game. But it's like an Alan Wake situation where I got to play 1 before I do 2. Because 1 I've heard great things about. But the first one was just Xbox, right? Exclusive?
No, I think it was actually exclusive to PlayStation, and then it came to stuff afterwards. And now the studio is owned by Xbox.
Okay, so, yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's very cinematic. It looks very close to. It reminds me a lot of when they would show off like Ghost of Tsushima, not the visual style, but just like there's like a cinematic quality to it. Definitely. So, yeah, looks cool.
Do you think you'll be taking that on, Taylor, since it's a Game Pass title?
I've been kind of back and forth on whether I want to kind of at least try it. If it's on Games Pass, I don't really have a reason not to. It just looks like there's so much between like a real world element and this other dimensional like mind mental world, I guess, that's involved. I'm still trying to figure out what it is about and what the experience will be like. So I might try it.
Cool. And then we had Kamuri, which is a new game announcement from Akumi Nakamura, who I feel like is a Game Awards mainstay at this point. She was previously with the team that did like Evil Within and whatnot. She was, I think, the art director over there, and I don't know if she's still the art director or like creative director of this new studio, but they finally showed off their new game. A very quick glimpse of this. I don't think we really got gameplay, but I absolutely love the art style, which makes sense. She's such an artistic person, I guess, that it makes sense that would be a huge focus of this game. But the character designs, the weird like amalgamations of like human creatures and whatnot, the color palette, I thought it looked beautiful. So don't really know too much about it yet, but it's definitely on my radar. I thought it looked really nice, and she's always just such a wholesome presence on stage. She's very funny, so I liked that little sequence.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up a trailer because IGN has terrible ads, but this one didn't really stick with me as I'm watching it. Like, I definitely remember that big thing at the end where they're all together, but yeah, there wasn't much here. But like you said, it was just only 50 seconds, so that's probably why. In 3 hours,
it was a
3.5 hours. 50 seconds might bypass me.
Next up was No Rest for the Wicked. This is the newest game from Moon Studios. So they did the 2 Ori games, and really interesting to see that they're going from 2D. I don't know if this is still Metroidvania, but they're going from 2D to kind of a top-down 3D. But I still feel like it has that art style. You can definitely see the similarities between the game, where I feel like Ori was a game that it just looks like it's breathing, like with the lights and the motion and the wind effects and whatnot. And it seems like the same thing's going on here, like the characters walking over a rickety bridge, and that bridge is like swaying like crazy. So once again, another one I was very impressed with the visuals of it. And yeah, I've never played an Ori game, but they've always been definitely on the backlog there. And this looks really great though, so I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is a nice surprise announcement here. So any hype for this one from you guys? I'll take that as a no.
I'm letting Taylor go first.
No, you go. I don't know much to add.
I have not played
I'm like
Ori.
Keely here. I gotta like put a timer on things for how much we can talk.
I was thrown off because I was trying to watch the trailer again. For some reason, there's like an 18 in front of it, so I don't think that would mean like it's
an
18A. Like I don't think it's an age rating. It just says 18. That's a trailer, so that'd be weird. So I've never played Ori. The game. So I think we've had this talk many times before because they've won many like game awards or awards of like visually. Always thought, wow, visually stunning. But there was nothing in there that made me want to jump into that world other than, oh, this is great to look at. This trailer was another cool one, which I was surprised at. Like, just the world building. There's lots of stuff going on here, like you said, with the bridge. But it was specifically that part with the bridge. It's like Ori, where it feels like when you said it's the same but it's different. It's like, okay, it's clearly a director's working. You see that when they're running up the bridge, there's like this lighting. This lighting is phenomenal. It's like this autumn colors right here. They're running up and the sunshine everywhere. And that's what was really sticking out to me. And I liked the top-down sort of view where it's not like a bird's eye view. It's like a bird's eye view and then like slanted like a bit diagonally. And I don't know. There was something about here that I was enjoying. There's pirate ship stuff that I'm enjoying this more than Skull and Bones. So yeah, like everything they're showing me here, I was also into. So this is one that I didn't really like have an interest for Ori, but this is now on the radar for. If it reviews good, I think I'll be playing about it because it just, I don't know, it has a very just those fun stories of the medieval times you think about when you're kids and everything. So yeah, I was all up for this. I'm not sure about the title. I don't think that title rolls off the tongue to like. I guess I don't know. It's not gonna be a big game. I just think No Rest for the Wicked. That's a long SCO. That's a long, like there's,
might be a bit forgettable. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, but they did say March 1st they're showing off more stuff. So
nice.
There you go.
That's very cool. And next up, so Sega did a little. They just popped off. They did like 6 announcements in one. They had like a little sizzle reel where they showed off that they're currently in development are Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, Shinobi, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage. I thought Keely said 6 games, so I must have missed one in there. But there's at least 5 of them. I feel like I heard about some of these recently, so I don't know if these are all like brand new announcements. But I don't know what Shinobi is, but the rest of these are all like kind of just classics. Some of them even, back to the arcade with Golden Axe and Crazy Taxi, and like Jet Set Radio and Streets of Rage are kind of just some classic console games. So cool to see that back catalog is still getting some new releases, but I don't know, there wasn't really much of a deep dive on any of these, so I'm not sure if there's much to break down there, but a cool set of announcements nonetheless.
Agreed.
Never played a single one of these as a kid.
You never played Crazy Taxi?
Nope. Never.
I feel like that's
Never.
just a
Crazy Taxi.
staple.
I know, I've heard it, but I've never. So good on Sega for
Golden
finally
Axe
making
is-
some
I love
games that
Golden
aren't
Axe,
Sonic.
too.
So yeah, that's good.
There's I feel like that was at Scandia, like a classic Scandia one maybe.
I think I
Maybe
played in your
not.
basement once. I don't know.
Always in my basement, but not with me. There was a new DBZ game, DBZ Sparking Zero, or is it Sparkling Zero?
No, it's Sparking Zero.
Sparking.
Yeah.
So Kirkland's the DBZ guy, and he's obviously not here. Any
hang on,
thoughts
I'll
on this?
call
To me, kind of like par for the course for DBZ, but yeah, you're on the phone.
He didn't
Fanboy
pick
Clay in Discord was kind of popping off for this, so I don't know. I don't know if DBZ fans pop off for anything DBZ or if this
Yeah.
looked, next gen or wild or something, but looked kind of par for the course for me.
It makes sense because Clay's also a fan. DBZ fans are like Final Fantasy fans. You announce a coloring book, they're like, oh my god, it's a coloring book for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that was me with Elder Scrolls 6. So we all have our vices, but that's fair.
I'm dead inside. I got nothing.
There was this one. I'm very curious to hear Taylor's thought on that game. Maybe a weird title once again. The Casting of Frank Stone. This is from Supermassive. This is a Dark Pictures anthology crew doing all those narrative horror games, and they're doing their next game is set in the world of Dead by Daylight, which is interesting to me because Dead by Daylight seems to be kind of like that Fortnite sort of thing where it's just a canvas now for other IP to hop into with like Nick Cage recently and all these other big characters. But yeah, what does this do for you? Does this get you hyped? I know you love both Dead by Daylight and Supermassive games.
This got me hyped very much. So as soon as I saw that Supermassive Games just title card drop there, I thought, okay, this what is this? I'm very piqued. And the Dead by Daylight world is, it's fascinating because I feel like it's very limited in Dead by Daylight. It's survivors, you're the killer trying to take them down. But there are some very unique elements that I'm sure there's a lot more lore behind it that is involved with the game. If you were to play that game religiously, you would understand it because they do go in depth, like with the characters that you play as in the game, the killers. They have huge amounts of lore and backstories written to them.
Okay.
So to expand on that in this setting, I think is great. And it seems like there are some familiar elements from the Dead by Daylight maps that will probably be reoccurring. So I'm there for this, and I'm hoping it's like couch co-op like The Quarry, and I can just pass with Madison and we can
I
both
imagine it will be,
indulge.
yeah.
So I'm stoked.
That's cool. I'm excited to hear you talk about that one when you finally get to it. Travis, I don't think you've ever played Dead by Daylight, but I know you're also a fan of these Supermassive things. Maybe you've been on the couch a bit lately. I haven't played any of them super recently, but are you excited or interested in this new world for them?
I have played Dead by Daylight because I think one time
okay.
it was free on PSN around the time me and Emily were really popping off on Friday 13th, so we gave it a go. We didn't enjoy it as much as I think like a lot of other people too. So I've played it here and there, but not. And I think me and Taylor one time jumped in. I feel like there was some.
No, I know I played with Kirkland, but I didn't get around to playing with you.
Travis's memory tonight is
Okay, no,
feeling it after this 4
Taylor,
hour long show.
we've definitely played it together. I feel like there
No,
was some. Yes.
no. I've always talked about wanting to play it, and you expressed interest. But Kirkland,
No,
and
we
then
did.
Dylan,
This one I know for
Dylan as
sure.
well. You
Have I
it with-
played? I do not think I've played the
have.
game. Did I?
You
Oh
have.
my god, that's wild.
With
to me.
Taylor?
with me and Kirkland. And
See,
then me
no,
and Kirkland
you-
played the most, and then Dylan tagged in for a little bit with us, but never Travis.
No, I think you're confusing it. I think I was Dylan. I tagged in. I feel like
I think
that
this might be true. I think you might be.
Yeah.
No, we didn't know.
That scenario sounds about
We need
right, 'cause-
Kirkland
Was
to
this a
confirm
streamed
this.
event or just?
No.
Okay.
There's honestly, I think it was streamed.
Well, then
because
find the
Kirkland
evidence.
streamed a lot of them.
Because
Mine
was
was
this in the
not
era of like
streamed.
you and Kirkland doing like your Sunday streams? Maybe
Yes.
is that
Oh,
that
right.
the era?
It
Still
was
waiting
the
for
era.
Kirkland
Yeah.
to finish Resident Evil. Either way, this is what I meant about with this show, that even if the show didn't have the massive surprises, the trailers we just talked about for the last game, the trailers for these new games, for the most part, fucking rocked. This was a really cool trailer. To the point where I hope that the Dead by Daylight thing is just to sell. I don't think you have to play Dead by Daylight to enjoy this, right? I feel
No,
like it's just
not at all.
okay. So that, but I was like, that's like an odd thing, but I get the name of it. Maybe there'll be some lore, who knows? But this was fucking awesome. This is definitely on my radar. This is, I hope that maybe it's coming out earlier, but this would have been a perfect October drop somewhere. But the trailer, the music, the sound design, it was like, okay, if this was a movie, I'd be like, okay, I'm anticipating watching this movie very soon. So, and especially if it's like a smaller experience too, like what, probably 4 to 6 hours, maybe, or something like that, even, you know?
Probably. Yeah.
So yeah, this is heavily on the radar just because that trailer kicked ass. But it's a game that the trailer is great, but if the scores and reviews are very meh, I could easily skip it. Just going, well, that was a great trailer for that Game Awards, you know. But the trailer got it to me watching. So
Right. Very cool. Next up was Visions of Mana. So this is kind of a, I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe a reboot of the Mana series, Trials of Mana, Tales of Mana, whatever those games are called. But rather than, because those were kind of classic JRPG 16-bit sort of situations, now they're going third-person, open-worldy, more modern, looks like. So I thought this looked really good. Me and Clay both thought it was Dark Cloud when it first popped up on screen. We were surprised to see Visions of Mana, but I think it's a cool name. And yeah, I think it looks pretty neat. So shouts to them. The next game kind of tricked me a bit because I think it started with a Sony logo and then it looked like some Ghost of Tsushima stuff.
yeah,
Then it wasn't. It was this game called Rise of the Ronin, which I believe is Team Ninja, who developed, Ultimate Alliance 3 among a bunch of other games. So shouts to Team Ninja.
They're making the wrong game though right now. You know, should be focused on Marvel Alliance 4. That's for
Yes,
sure
they
happening.
should. Or
Yeah.
porting 3 to other consoles with the
Yeah, of course.
4K graphics. That's what I'd like to see as well. This is coming out March 22nd. Honestly, for me, I'm like, yeah, I'll wait for the Ghost sequel.
Yeah.
I don't think I need this.
I thought there was another game too. I don't think it's specific to Sony, but I feel like in the Summer Games Fest we talked about, Dylan, that was like another type of this era, similar to Ghost of Tsushima, not the exact same fighting
There's a game,
style. But
Wolong Fallen Dynasty, maybe like that came out earlier this year. I don't know if you
okay,
know
maybe
that,
that's
but-
it. I think it's just tough. It's the same way as like luckily Assassin's Creed, they got their fan base, but I just feel like most people are anytime these type of games are coming out right now, most people unfortunately are including myself, are taking the I'll wait for Ghost of Tsushima because I just know that's quality, and it's just all of them look like all of them might have great gameplay, but the problem is like none of them look as beautiful as Ghost of Tsushima. Like they just fall away. So where Ghost of Tsushima, you'll never forget like the look of it, the vibrance of it. So
Yeah.
I'm the same way that unfortunately when this comes on my screen, I don't tune out, but I just go, I'm taken.
Yeah.
You know, it's
not necessarily
great, but-
my favorite setting, so I don't need games and games and games.
fair.
Like, I'm good with a Ghost of Tsushima every 5 years. Like that'll fill
Yeah.
my need for it. Next up, this next 15 minutes was, in my opinion, the Travis Snell segment of the show. This was just juice after juice, squeezing that orange over there. Started out with Outlast Trials, which you seem pretty hyped on. I was kind of checked out because it was like one of those streamer trailers where it's just people popping off on their Twitch
can you
perspective.
believe it?
So when that happens, I kind of check out mentally, but you seem pretty
fair.
hype on that. So you looking forward to that?
Yeah, because I think it's only been it's been on PC, and I don't know if it's the full game that's been out, but here's another thing. many times Taylor and Kirkland talk about Outlast Trials, but I played the fuck out of it too. They always
you played
exclude
it?
me. Yeah. Because the reason was with PS4, there was no games out there, but this was like the first month PSN. It was a free game, so I got it and I loved it. And they never thought like I don't think Taylor even beat it, but I'm very excited. This has been on my radar for a while, so this is they've created a fun little world there. I never played 2 because everyone kind of said, don't like it was kind of a hand wave, like you can skip it. So this idea of the Outlast world, what goes on there, and being able to partner up with people, hopefully Taylor and Kirkland, if I'm invited. I'm excited it's finally coming to consoles, and they said Marchish, I think, somewhere in there. So, which is good because I have a backlog, but we talked about this a couple weeks ago in Sidequest. Like right now, the early months of 2024 gaming wise, they're looking really light. You know, like there's not much mega titles out right now, so that's a perfect time for me. And that's not a game I got to commit like a week, like weeks to, right? It's like I can drop and have some fun. So I like that world. Very excited it's getting its console release, and even PC. I don't know if it was a full release. So
Right.
Yeah, very excited. I did beat that first one a long time ago, but I played it on PC. That's when I got it on Steam, and I remember Kirkland talking about it, and so I played it in like first 5 minutes. I was like, holy fuck, this game's terrifying. I think I remember playing it back before I even lived in Kelowna. It was a long time ago.
That is
back
a long
in
time ago.
like pre 2014.
yeah, I guess you could have.
2013.
So
So
I'm just trying to think of Target. Yeah.
and again, it was like pre-beta, whatever. Like 'cause Steam does those early on beta mumbo jumbo
Early
stuff.
access.
So early access, yeah. So,
Pre-beta.
but yeah, I remember talking to Kirkland about it after the fact, though, when I worked at Target in Kelowna. It's just,
but not Travis. Just
I don't know, not
And just
Travis.
the way you said that, you sound like you're like doing a testimony.
I'm trying to remember because
I did play it in Kelowna. Yes.
Well, because it was a transitional time in my life between the two cities, so I'm trying to remember it. But yeah, the notable thing from that game is just dealing with the Doctor character. He's just such an iconic like memory forged in my mind from that. But I played Outlast 2 briefly when they were putting the demos out at Fan Expo eons ago, but that's my extent. I never actually sat down and played the game because, like you said, Travis, that people didn't really rate it that great, so I just kind of like skipped over it. But this one, I know we all were talking about this would be great to play on the stream. This would be super exciting and hype because it's got the multiplayer aspect. That'd be very, very awesome. So I'm totally into trying this. The streamers look like they're having a lot of fun when he's like the end streamer guy opens up the cabinet and the fucking guy jumps at him. I want to experience this with you guys.
Nice. Next up was the was the classic Kojima section. Travis, do you want to break down what we saw here?
Yeah, this was just a smorgasbord of stuff because the way he sets it up, we know how Jeff Keighley is, right? The second he talks about anybody, it's like, okay, it's Jeff promoting. But when he talks about Kojima, you know Kojima's coming out. So he comes out, they have this very cool door thing now, obviously, that we got a trailer first, but it's like a box and there's a door. He has specified that this new game, which we're going to talk about, OD, is not Oxygen Destroyer or Open the Door. So he did clarify that on Twitter this afternoon, or this morning. Was
that like a leading theory or something?
Enough for him to tweet out and say, no, this is not the title of this game. But so we got a trailer, which is obviously that's the mixed part. But for me, it's like you got Sophia Lillis. She played Liv in It, and she's a character in Dungeons and Dragons. She's become like a good actress, like kind of up and coming. And then you got Hunter Schafer, one of the best out there from Euphoria. And then you got the other guy who I can't remember, but he's been in hundreds of things. We're like, oh, I know that guy. And it's just them staring at the camera, talking. Obviously, it looks like their blood pressure's going up, like their heart rate. They seem like they're getting more scared. The trailer just ends very loudly with Sophia Lillis just like yelling at you and stuff. And you got the first point of view, but it's definitely, you can tell by the rings in their eyes. I think it's just them doing like the mocap and everything. I don't think the game is like this, even though Keighley and Kojima are like, this is the most game like movie you could ever experience. So it does feel like it's going to be very much more almost I would say it's choose your adventure.
Can I go in here with a quote that they had, which was,
yes,
it's a movie but also a game but also a new form of media. So they're creating a new form of media with this game.
Yeah, and it's
Insane.
interesting because I wonder when this game comes out if everyone's gonna go, Kojima should just directed a movie, you know. So we'll see what's gonna happen. But I love this when Kojima came out. 9 Inch Nails was playing. They brought out Jordan Peele. Like I heard those Us strings. Like oh my goodness. And yeah, Jordan Peele's working on it. Also with a bunch of other, as Kojima called them, the Avengers, other directors. People seem to think it's Alex Garland, the director of Men, George Miller, which is Mad Max. You got Nicholas Reinfeldt, who was in Death Stranding, who's done Drive, and there was another one in there, another director that's Bob shared that was like okay, and probably Guillermo because they seem to do a lot together.
Right.
So that's what I'm wondering if there's like a. I wouldn't say anthology method too, but I wonder if it is like there's almost like a Black Mirror-ish where the sections of the game are very specific, and that's why there's multiple directors because it's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. What would you think about this? Because it'd just be weird if he came to him with a game and said, hey, 5 directors, give me your thoughts on all this. It feels like it would be very specific. So I'm very curious to see. It's 3, actors in there that are great. So this was hitting all nuts, and also for Taylor Field, it is a Games Pass exclusive. This one, this has been teased a bunch for the past couple years, and we've talked about this before. I'm very curious to see how the audience responds to this because I don't think the Xbox audience is a Kojima audience, and I'm very curious to see if this gets accepted, brought in. But this is the bee's knees, and the biggest thing, the tagline which we talked about, Kojima horror game, and that's where we've said that he hasn't really done PT Happen, and then he did Death Stranding, which has the vibes, but everyone was expecting him to do a horror game right off the bat, and he didn't, and here it is. So as I said, for me, he's like the Nolan of video games. I trust him. You're always going to get something at least interesting, even if this movie, game, new media doesn't work out. It's going to at least be talked about and see the pros and cons. And even Death Stranding, like I know it's a game, but that for me feels like it is like a movie game in a sense, like with the amount of like the walking and cinematics you do. It's much more of just an experience at times. So I can't wait, and absolutely no date on this whatsoever, so we'll see. But yeah, Kojima, Hunter Schafer, Jordan Peele. What's not horror? What's not the like?
Yeah, totally agreed. Taylor, do you think this is something you're going to check out?
Well,
No.
if it's on Games Pass, like I'm kind of curious because I don't think I've ever played a Kojima game. I never played like
Not a single Metal Gear Solid. He didn't do Silent Hill. Metal Gear
You
Solid.
know the Metal Gear Solid. That goes to show how much I know, and I apologize because everyone raves
He
about
almost
him. I was
did
trying to
Silent
tell.
Hill.
Yeah.
I was trying to tell Madison like people love Kojima's work. But I've
So you just
never
lied to her.
indulged in
You
it.
said, "Oh, Silent Hill. He does Resident Evil.
Yeah.
He did Mario."
She's playing Silent Hill right
Assassin's
now.
Creed. He's done all of them.
He only did Assassin's Creed 2 and Black Flag, though. Only the best. One.
Yeah, he's doing. Have you heard this new game, Skull and Bones? That's him as well.
Oh yikes!
That's
But
not true.
yeah, no. If it's on Games Pass, I'm down to dabble in a horror game. That's up my alley. I'm always down to try new horror games. So the OD, are people not thinking it could be like overdose or something like
That's
that?
what I went to.
Well, I think that's just almost like 2 on the nose, right?
Yeah, but that's what I immediately went to. I didn't go to Oxygen Destroyer or Open the
The
Door.
Oxygen Destroyer is like a Power Rangers villain or something like that.
Oh, yeah, or
it
that's
took
something
us-
Oppenheimer
it took
was
me
talking
months,
about.
if not years, to get used to the name Death Stranding. Like that was so weird at the time too, in terms of a title. And now I'm used to it, and I think it sounds great. And I can't wait for DS2, Death Stranding 2.
DS2.
But yeah, like that stranding is a weird word. Death is obviously, par for the course, but a weird title in its own right. So that's where I just feel like OD is going to be, I don't know, some other strange combination of words that I'm not used to.
Again, I think it has to be, that should be a working title because I feel like it's just a game called OD is.
Yeah. Well, I think in the same way he, like, technically it's just DS2 is like the new game.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously it's going to be Death Stranding 2, right?
Or
I feel
War
like
Stranding.
War Stranding.
He's going to bring War back.
A similar thing, yeah. I am obviously intrigued. I love seeing Peel up there, and it's Kojima, so I'm interested. I've only played Death Stranding, but I do have the MGS Volume 1 collection downloaded on my Switch, ready to go, just waiting for Game of the Year stuff to finish. That I'm jumping in, so I'm very excited to finally experience some more Kojima stuff. There's, of course, a couple of holdups for me here. One is, like, it's not a game, it's like a movie, but it's like not. It's like this other form of media, like, okay, like, are we getting like too pretentious at this point that you're making a new form of media? So, I mean, obviously Peel said that, and Peel breaking down barriers. I can't wait. So I'm curious to see what that means, but I also am like a video game guy, and like I just don't feel like it's going to be very video gamey, and I also loved the video game mechanics of Death Stranding along with the story. So I just maybe was hoping for more of that, but obviously Death Stranding 2 is still a thing that's happening. So there's that, and then I think the thing that doesn't necessarily worry me, but they really have been hyping up this game as like this is a cloud streaming game,
Yeah.
and like that's the thing that I don't really care
I'm
about.
not digging that. Yeah.
Like,
And Kojima loves that stuff because remember Stranding, he was into
Yeah.
like the flags and the leaving hints for people. Like I think he's in it for the right reasons. Like, oh, he wants people to be connected. But same thing with you. It's like, that's kind of a flag for me.
Yeah,
going on.
the only thing it makes me think of is it somehow is going to be this episodic thing or something where like the whole game is not immediately there, and that way whenever there's like a new content drop or a change, like you don't have to like download an update, like you just stream like the new thing. And so like I don't know what the big hype around the cloud streaming thing would be if it's not something weird like that, and I just can't think of some sort of cloud streaming thing that is really intriguing to me. But it's Kojima, and he is way smarter and more creative than me, so I'm curious to see what that is. I'm very curious. So that's where I'm at. I'm interested for sure, and I'll definitely check it out. But I don't think I can assess a hype level yet. I think it's a bit too early, and I need a bit more info. Isn't Margaret Qualley also involved in this project, Travis, from like a couple of years ago when this thing was actually first announced? I thought she was connected to it, or was that just rumors?
I think it's just rumors, and she still could be, right? But I think it's just rumors right now. Obviously, it could also just be more Death Stranding stuff because Death Stranding has a way of bringing people back. So I feel like you could easily, Mama could be
Lachlan and
around.
whatnot.
So I think she'll be somewhere, but I don't think that's anything. I think this is the most official we've gotten about this Xbox game, because even at this point, we didn't know for sure he's working on an Xbox game. We thought so because Phil Spencer had like his little Kojima statue on his desk, but that didn't mean for sure, right? That could just be Phil trying to do that before he has another.
I just know
bad
we've heard the
day,
name OD before, but I couldn't recall the entire history of it. But
have we? See, I didn't.
Yes.
I don't even remember that. Okay.
Yeah, like once again, I don't know if that was ever an official announcement though, or just like a rumor. But yeah,
we talked about once in your basement. I think that's where it came
definitely
from.
once in the basement.
I was like, oh, he's getting called
Talking
OD.
about OD. There you go. That one. Any other thoughts on that one? I'm very curious to see more. When next year? Do we see more next year?
I think it's
or is like Death Stranding. What comes out first, this or Death Stranding 2?
That's what I was gonna say. This is such an I know it's probably happened, but it's such an interesting perspective where he has Death Stranding 2 coming out for PlayStation, and then he has this OD game coming out for Xbox. So he's gonna be promoting these two things at the same time for different companies. I don't know, because I would say Stranding 2 because at least that was cinematic gameplay, where this is not even, this is just like them in a room somewhere recording mocap stuff.
Yeah,
like
zero gameplay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
far.
say Stranding DS2 first, and then this one. And DS2, I'm hoping it's next fall, but I don't know that for sure. So I think if DS2's fall, this is 25. If DS2 is 25, this is 26. Like this could still be pretty far off, because again, it's just the mocap room, because that could be literally all they have. It's just the actors now. Again, I bet that's not all they have, but just they don't have enough to even show a slice of what's going on, So
yeah, definitely.
and they should have ended with this. That was my opinion. That the crowd was very excited. It was very talky.
hype.
Yeah, but I just feel like the trailer was hype. Kojima was hype. Peel coming out was really hype. That door, it was just very cinematic, a big presentation. So I feel like over Monster Hunter, they should have had this last. So
yeah, fair enough. We move on from the Kojima segment from the Travis segment to the Taylor segment, because we got Jurassic Park Survival here, which is a new announcement. I think, right? I don't remember seeing this game before. So Taylor, you're the dinosaur man. So what did you think of this? Mr. Muted over here.
Oh, damn. I was going to let him go for like another hour. Yeah.
We don't have time for that tonight.
Keely was like, "Oh, this game's been 65 million years in the making." I was like, "Oh, Madison, shush."
Did he say that? I totally missed that.
Yeah, he did. He was
Nice.
so sleek with it.
I looked over to Emily and I just said, those poor developers, like we're really overworking them now. Did you not think it was Turok though, Taylor? Did you for sure think it?
No, not for a second. When he said that's always been the Jurassic Park tagline, 65 million
Would
years
you have
in the
been
making.
pissed if it was Ark or Turok?
I would have been like, what the fuck is this?
Okay.
It would have been pretty cheesy, but no, it looked beautiful. It looked beautiful. I know it was cinematic, but just the brief amount of gameplay that we saw in there got me really, really hyped, and that just makes me think, okay, this game is a lot further along than I would want to be like. be waiting for. That's what I'm trying to say. And so the fact that we have gameplay already is great. It's not just a cinematic, but just the setup. And I was reading about it afterwards. You just basically have to come up with very tactical ways to evade the dinosaurs and survive and whatnot. And to me, it feels like an Alien Isolation kind of sort of style, first person, which is really, really cool. I've been wanting so bad, so bad, a long time for them to do a Jurassic Park game, this kind of single player narrative. And to focus right after the events of the first film is amazing, because the only other game that did that was the Telltale game, Jurassic Park the game, and that one is a lot of fun, and it's very much in the same vein where you play as different characters, but it's just a direct fallout after the events of the first film on you're trapped on the island. But this it's just the cinematic was hitting those notes. Like every little piece in every single scene was an Easter egg, and I was eating it up and just like so absorbed into this. I looked online, everyone's like freaking out. All the Jurassic Park groups are just going full 10 right now. It's wonderful. So this game has my attention, it has my wallet, and it has my full commitment.
What does the name survival mean to you in this context? Because I think of like a resource game where you got to worry about like your health meter or your food meter and your sleep meter and whatnot. That's what I think of when I hear the word survival these days. Do you think that's what this game is going to be, like a survival game in this setting, or is it going to be more of a narrative single player thing?
I think it's just going to be a narrative single player game. I know there was an old Jurassic Park survivor game that got canceled a long time ago, but who knows?
I mean, this is one of those trailers for me. Like, I gotta see some actual gameplay. I mean, they had like little tiny sequences in there, but it was all like, here's 3 seconds at a time. So I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. And honestly, for me, like the trailer was a bit too like nostalgia baity, where it's like you're calling them Easter eggs. Like, I don't know. This is just a 1-to-1 rip of like scenes from the first movie. Like, I just felt like it wasn't nuanced enough for me. It was just like, you remember the scene in the kitchen? Here is that exact scene, like shot for shot. And I know that's gonna get you hyped, but also to me, it's like, I wish this game had like a bit of identity of its own, which it doesn't to me yet. So I won't rag on you too much, though. I'm happy for you. Is this your announcement of the show? Would you say, Taylor?
Absolutely.
And I guess Travis, was OD that for you? I didn't ask that, but was that your number one? Would you say?
Yes.
Oh, I bet. Really?
Yeah, because I love Kojima. But for me, there's another one coming up later that just had such a surprise factor. I literally went, what? Like out loud, like this was really cool, but that was a surprise. So I think for my intrigue, yes, but for the surprise, there's another one.
You
too.
looked at Emily and you're like, shh.
Yeah. Shut up.
65 million. Yeah.
I think, hey, Vampire's been alive for a while. I think what you're talking about, Dylan, that I think it's going to be a lot how other games today, we always say, oh, there's RPG elements. I think it'll have survival elements, but it won't be my biggest thing in the past few years is like playing like Don't Starve, like that franchise. Like it's not gonna have that where the day-night cycle. You gotta have this all. Like they're gonna make it. I still think like baby's first survival game where hey, people that don't play many games could pick this up if they're Jurassic Park fans. Let's not make it super hardcore. But the same idea or the same point. Sorry, I don't know why I say idea. Sometimes you just hear pitches and ideas where you go, man, why has no one done this yet? And I think I can officially say that I'm off the like, oh, I don't like first person games. I think I just need the right recipe for it now because there's been enough games these past almost near decade that I've loved that are first person. So for me, this just idea of you're stuck on an island, you got to escape it, and there's dinosaurs first person. This is like, to me, a perfect pitch. This is like a slam dunk. Like, why has no one done this yet? Like, why is like Jurassic Park such a popular franchise? Why has no one thought, why have we not done a game where you have to escape the island from the dinosaurs? And even if it's just a random like, oh, find a little food there, a little water there, like there's so like find some batteries for a flashlight, like stuff you could do even in Last of Us, right, where that has like survival elements where it's like, well, you got to find this so you make sure you have a shiv, right? It's just like regular stuff. So same thing, like you got to find these two things to make ingredients for a flare. So I think they'll have some of that. I think it's really cool. This one, unless it gets ravaged by critics, is probably day one for me because I do not love Jurassic Park like Taylor, but I do love Jurassic Park. That to me is one of the greatest movies ever made. And I think that, yeah, Dylan, you're right. They went for every single nostalgia, member berry sort of thing. But I think they kind of have to do that because, like, name me the best Jurassic Park game. You know, like, they're all very mediocre to middling. So I think they got to hit They got to
Don't
hit
say
the
that
people.
to Taylor. This man loves.
No, it's,
No, but I mean,
it's
like,
true.
there's
A
not
lot of them are.
definitive, right?
Yeah,
Like before
exactly.
Batman Arkham came out, there wasn't a definitive like, oh, the best superhero game. Then Arkham came out and it started everything. I'm not saying you're gonna get a bunch. And before Taylor goes, I didn't love Jurassic World Builder because I just like or whatever it was called, like whatever
Evolve,
it is.
right? What was it?
Evolution.
Evolution.
It just,
yeah.
I just thought it was like it's poorly made at times, and I hate there's certain aspects that they make you have to play the campaign, and then there's like Camp Cretaceous. I feel like all the Jurassic Park stuff that's been separate from the movies, I've never been able to get into. So this is like my gateway, like, oh, this is made right for me. So perfect pitch. The studio, not great. So like I'm not like if you look at their games, they don't really have like a banger. They have like the Evil Dead game they did this year. They did like WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which is like our arcadey wrestling game. So hopefully this is this is what's gonna make them change as a studio. But I was hoping for a bit more of a
temper the expectations at the moment. I think.
yeah. But if it's just if this game's 7 out of 10, that's all I need. That's perfect. A fun time, dinosaurs. I'll be happy to be there.
Yeah, if they just make like a badass 6-hour long game,
Yeah.
that would be pretty
Perfect.
sick. That would be great. Let's move on to the next one. This was a new announcement, a game called Tales of Kenzera Zhao. It looked a lot like the new Prince of Persia game to me, actually. And a kind of 2D action platforming combat sort of game. I don't know if I have too much to say on this, but I really liked the announcer, or not the announcer, but I guess the developer who came and talked about it. I think he shared like a touching story of.
Well, I think he was an
him-
actor.
Was he an actor?
I think
Okay,
he's the voice actor for the main character because he's like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
you know me
'Cause he-
from
Assassin's
this and
Creed.
and he said a TV show too. So I think he's the guy that's the main character.
Oh, okay. I thought he was like a creative director on it or something.
Yeah.
But I thought he shared a nice story there. I liked him. But in terms of the game itself, I don't think it's just really my cup of tea. Like even the new Prince of Persia, I understand it looks great, but it's just not really the kind of gameplay I'm looking for these days. So it might be a pass for me. I'm going to move on to...
No, I'll say for a brief 10 seconds, I thought it could have been a Black Panther game because the way they were talking about it,
I agree.
The guy said Baba like the same way they do in the opening of Black Panther. When those spirits started to form, the masks looked like panthers for a second. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And even then, when you look at the gameplay, it's not a Black Panther game. Like aesthetically, it's different, but he was showing out like some shockwaves. So no, this was like cool. This is something that I don't know if I'll ever get around to, but I could see an audience forming around this if it's a good game. But yeah, fun little showing there, and yeah, the story was worth it. So
Yeah. Good stuff. The next game is from the developers of Life is Strange. Their new game is called Lost Records Bloom and Rage. I thought this looked really interesting. We didn't really get any gameplay here, but I think these games are typically very narrative focused anyway, so I don't know if that's a big deal. But to me, this just gave me a ton of it energy. You have a bunch of kids, kind of like in the 80s, or dealing with something, and they like meet back 20 years later, or something like that, to deal with this thing once again. So it's giving me some good vibes there. I like the energy. Look at the characters. I really like the art style. I feel like Life is Strange sometimes it doesn't always blow me away, but I really like what they went for here. So I haven't really played any of those games, so not really too knowledgeable on those kind of things, but I thought this looked really solid. It looked cool.
the other thing it looked like it had is I feel like there's some Lovecraftian horror going on because the title was very that purpley color, some of the font. When they opened up or saw something in the ground, it was looking like some sort of glow. So I don't think it's color of space, related. But I think it gave me that vibe of, okay, there's something out there, maybe something grotesque. So I've always heard great things. That horror slant did pique my interest. This is something that I don't think I'd buy for a while, but if it's on, because those games usually come to like PSN or something like that, I think I would try this one out because I was really digging the vibes of this. Almost some Stranger Things vibes too when they're like more the kids. So yeah, this trailer I was digging. So this was like possibly.
Nice. And then we got this game called The First Berserker Kazan, which to me just looked like kind of a Viking themed Souls-like game. So I thought it looked really cool. It looked like it's really effective at doing that, and obviously people are really into that kind of thing. So cool, awesome.
Yeah, not much for me.
Well, actually, I was going to ask you this, Travis. So after playing Elden Ring and loving that game, like, what is it? What would be like the next Souls-like game to grab you? Like, what is the setting that someone needs? Because obviously the gameplay like works for you in the right position. Obviously, this maybe isn't quite as open world as Elden Ring potentially, but yeah, what do you think is that thing that's going to grab you?
The Elden World, the open world did get me in. I think it all has to be world building because I said that was the biggest thing about me. Elden Ring 2 was okay, that intriguing aspect of okay, it's open world, that's something new. But it's always those trailers, the vibe, the lore they put into it. Where this one, it wasn't bad, but I didn't have that same vibe. I think I'm more in the sense that I would probably go backwards and just to educate myself, just to try other ones, even if not finish them, just to be like, oh, I've never played Dark Souls, or I've never played what's Bloodborne. I think I'm more interested in that, but I think it takes some sort of hook, which Elden Ring had, and this one didn't necessarily. So I haven't closed the door again, but it's going to take something because those games are punishing and are very time consuming.
Yes,
so
definitely. And then we had Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I don't know if there was any new footage here, but they had like a musical sequence and they showed some gameplay. So I'm sure for the hardcore fans, there were some new tidbits in there. Afterwards, they announced that there is a crossover happening with Apex Legends and Final Fantasy. So that's kind of a weird matchup, but cool. That's awesome. We're into, for me, the most hype, the biggest announcement of the show. Got me out of my seat. I was talking to myself in my house. I was popping off. I was so hyped for this.
Talking to yourself.
I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like, I had like an out of body moment there for a couple of minutes because I was popping off of this. So Arcane Leon, who my absolute favorite, they announced their next project. So after Deathloop, they are now working on a Blade game. And yeah, we didn't see any gameplay here. We just kind of got a cinematic, got a little bit of vibe for the art style, and then a couple of details here because they had a little brief interview afterwards. But this is amazing because I've been under the assumption that they've been working on Deathloop 2 because there was like the voice actor from Deathloop 2, from Deathloop, kind of said like, oh, we're working on the next one, or like I'm doing some work on the next game, something like that. But like, maybe he's just in this game, and that's what he was talking about all along when he was talking about doing some more voice work, which could be like maybe he's the voice of Blade, and I would love that. He would be a fantastic choice for that, so I would love to see that. But yeah, so to answer anyone's questions on this, so you might be confused because like Redfall just came out, and that was also a vampire game. There are two Arcanes, okay? This was the Arcane that made Deathloop, and then Dishonored 2 prior to that. So this is not the same studio that worked on Redfall, so I'm gonna say don't be worried. Keep the hype high. Let's get that hype meter blown through the roof here. But yeah, I mean, obviously not a lot of gameplay here, but I am so excited for this. I love the matchup of IP, and I can't wait to see my favorite studio working on a Marvel game, but also a Blade game in particular. Just could not be more excited for this announcement of the show for me.
Yeah, that's where I kind of I still probably lean to this because I love the Kojima one, but this was just such a surprising because this feels like one of those that we'd be on a cast and be like, oh, imagine if Dylan would be like, oh, imagine if you get like an Arcane and make like a Blade game and this that. Like this felt like one of these pitches where it's like, this isn't real. Like this is just something you kind of crapshoot and just there. I don't know why. Like I know they have many cooks in the kitchen there, but even just Bethesda doing a Marvel game was not something I had on my bingo card at all, which I should have because we know they're supposedly working on an Indiana Jones game. And I hope this Blade game is not like Indiana Jones where we get this and then we don't hear about it for 5 to 6 years. Like I hope it's a little more active, but I did think it was Redfall because when it ended with the vampire teeth, I thought, okay, it's some update, something like that. Like there's not any other vampire games we know. And then when that came up, the title, everything, I was blown away. And I just love that, we still got a few games. Like we got Iron Man coming out, Spider-Man just came out, you got Wolverine, you got a Black Panther, Captain America,
King Captain Soldier Spy.
Yeah, so there's tons cooking right now. This is it's funny, like with Wolverine, we always go like, oh, what's it gonna play like? What's gonna be the world like? A Blade game set in Paris when they said that third person, it's like already I feel like I know what the game is going to be in a good way, And I've said this all before that there's so many Arcane games like Prey, which I got to be on that retro, but I've always like, oh, they look cool. And then something else comes out, I got to shelve them. I'm like, oh, I'm just waiting for that time. In the lead up to Blade, this is now my time to go and trek through those. But yeah, This is really cool. Xbox fans, you finally got your exclusive superhero game after all these years. And I think it has great potential, and I wonder the bar, and not trying to put too much on them, but I wonder, like we talked about tonight, right, where everyone's like, oh, Spider-Man didn't win a single thing, and I said, like, Spider-Man's always great, but it's always like, it's never on that level. It's never on that top tier level, and them with Blade, I don't know why. That's not to discount Insomniac. There's just something like, I don't know if it could get to that, but with Blade, I just feel like there's so much you can do. I love this idea of Paris being the setting. So
Yeah.
either way, I just hope it's a great
They
game.
won
but
some awards for Deathloop. They didn't get the big one that was It Takes Two, but I
Yeah.
think they got Best Game Direction along with a bunch of other ones.
Right, yeah, because I
Yeah.
thought they were gonna win the big one, and It
Yeah.
Takes Two. But still, it's yeah, very exciting. This is one of my most anticipated, just from curiosity projects. Like, I can't wait for the trailer, the gameplay, everything, and I think that this is, I think we're seeing Midnight Suns. Guardians, I guess, had this, but I think now with superhero stuff, their Avengers Squad's gonna come out and not do well. That the route is the solo adventure. I want multiple games. You know, we love Midnight Suns, but I think what sells is the to from story. Great game, and there
Yeah.
you go.
Hopefully, there's some good timing too with this in the movie. If the movie, ends up happening with all that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's some good timing there. But yeah, Taylor, I imagine you're pretty hyped on this too, even though you're not
I'm
necessarily an
pretty-
arcane guy.
I'm pretty hyped on this. When I did see the arcane, I'm glad you clarified that, Dylan, because I for sure thought at the start, like, oh, there's this DLC for Redfall or something like that, and
Yeah.
just when he
It's
stands up
wild
out
that
of the
they're
chair,
both the two studios are working on
it's
vampire
crazy.
things
Like,
at the
oh,
same
you're
time.
working on a vampire thing? Well, we'll one up you. That's
We'll
what
try
they're
it too,
thinking. But yeah, he stood up, put the coat on and whatnot. I'm like, holy shit, this is Blade. This is crazy. Complete surprise. Even bigger of a surprise, just a Marvel game being exclusively Xbox. Just I never saw that coming in a million years, but here we are. I just think it's great to kind of explore more characters like this, especially for Marvel games, because I feel like we're with how many Marvel movies we have and how many different projects, you think there'd be an equal amount of games to match that, but we really have a limited pool of Marvel games lately just to kind of pull from, and some, of course, some are exclusive, some are not, but let's get into this. Focus on some cool characters, some crazy storylines, and I don't need multiplayer. I don't need anything like this. I don't need any
They
like
said
DLC
single player. They definitely
just
they
single
were
player.
intentional to drop that wording in that spiel. I think.
And do you think this is gonna be like a Games Pass game?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's an Xbox first party studio, so it absolutely will be. Yeah.
I don't fucking get it. I really don't. From a business power to them, I guess.
Well,
but-
because you know what, they'll have that $40 thing that you can also buy if you're a Game Pass, like they had for Redfall, like they have for Starfield, that me and you both bought for Starfield, where you get access to some DLC, some bullshit costumes, whatever you get. So
yeah.
they still get their sale, they still get their money out of it somehow. But
That is smart to just say like, hey, you want early access to the game? You get it a week early, or you can just wait and have it on Games Pass. So
yeah, I think hopefully they make it work so that we can keep getting games like this. But yeah, a couple other things. So setting wise, I'm very excited for this because obviously they've always had like Deathloop and Dishonored and back to their older like fantasy games. Those were all fantasy kind of locations that they created, maybe inspired by certain places here or there. And then obviously Redfall is kind of set in like the US somewhat, and then Prey is set in like a space station. But I'm really excited for them to go to a different location, like a place on Earth. And then also like they are a studio based in Lyon, France, so not quite Paris, but I think that's really great. I'm really excited to see it. And I also think that's really smart because if they took Blade and just dropped him in New York, I think that would be, it's just hard to deal with Insomniac and how good their New York is. And I feel like you would inevitably get those comparisons. So I think this is a really smart move from them. I don't
Very
really
smart,
expect
yeah.
this to be an open world game, but who knows? Like we could go there. I'm going to say probably not right now. I'm so excited to see Arcane do a third-person game. I think that'll just change the game feel a lot, but they've only ever done first-person games before, so that's really cool and interesting to me. And yeah, like once again, like it's not just that they're doing a Marvel thing. Like for me, it's specifically Blade. It's the combat that I can just envision with him and his sword works so well with what they did in Dishonored, and how much you're teleporting around in those games and flying around at max speed. I just picture that with Blade, and I think it's going to be absolutely perfect. So I cannot be more excited for this game. Cannot wait for it.
It's gonna be a fun build up. I can't wait for trailers, things like that. Hopefully
Yeah.
get some sort of like Blade exclusive controller. Like I want all the like what PlayStation does for Spider-Man. I want that because I'm gonna be buying a fucking Blade
definitely get
exclusive
that.
you'll
controller.
probably get a
Controller,
controller or something like that. Xbox loves
Better.
their custom remotes.
Just wet. It's always just spewing blood out. You're like, oh, that's not a good idea. I don't know.
And then I think the last thing I was going to say is just the the way that Dishonored has, different endings and different things that happen based on your choices, I feel like that could work really well with Blade as a character, where you play him more as a hero versus more villainish. I think that stuff could play out really interestingly with the world. So hopefully they do some stuff like that. But there you go. That's Blade. How about we take our next break and we'll be right back with our last segment on the Game Awards. Okay, we are back. Taylor Field, did you ever finish season 1 of Twisted Metal on Peacock or Paramount or whatever
Since
streaming
the last
service
time
it's
we
on?
talk, like a week and a half ago-ish. Unfortunately,
Oh,
not.
quit it with the excuses. You should have been grinding it.
I double booked myself though.
Are you going to finish it in preparation for season 2
I
with
am.
Anthony Mackie?
I absolutely am going to finish it now. I was really surprised that they dropped a season 2 reveal here, but or announcement, I guess I should say. So, yeah, but it motivates me to want to watch it because I enjoyed what I saw, and it is wacky. But we'll keep it going.
Does his character do like that bit in the show or something where he just yells like "shut up" and whatnot?
How he was acting on stage, I felt like
That's his
he
character?
Yeah, it was his character. Yeah,
I think
Maybe it's
Mackie
funny
just
if
had a
you've seen the
couple.
show, then I guess. But
it's not that funny.
that was the most
but-
cringe part of the whole night for me.
Yeah,
I was like fine when he did it before, but then right when he's announcing the winner and still doing it, I was like, oh, I don't know. I think he just had a couple. I think Anthony Mack was having a good time. That's what I'm
he
gonna
was
say.
a Simu Lee backstage.
He was hitting up the free bar.
Yeah, he broke his leg. That's how good timing. Did you see though?
Right.
The meme's pretty funny when they like Last of Us one later on. Like he's sitting like right in the row in front of them. It just was good.
Anthony Mackie was.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
it's good. You'll
Was he
see
just
it. I'll
looking
find it.
unimpressed?
yeah, pretty much. I can't believe Twisted Metal lost to Last
Yeah.
of Us.
Next up, there was this.
Oh,
so there wasn't.
about Twisted
there
Metal,
wasn't.
no?
Do you want to talk about this more?
No.
Okay. So I guess the thing is with it, there was no trailer footage or anything. It was just confirmation of season 2, so not much to break down there. Next game though, this might be a Travis one. A game called Last Sentinel. I think this was a new announcement. I don't know
New
what to
studio.
say about this other than this looks like a fucking Blade Runner game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, this was the one we were talking about. This is the guy he was one of the developers on Bully, GTA games,
Okay.
and Red Dead
I missed that
Redemption.
part.
I think it
That's
was
cool.
2. So that's where for
I was
me.
probably still reeling off the Blade announcement. like,
Yeah.
not paying attention.
Maybe someone checked me. I don't know if it was Red Dead Redemption 2, but it doesn't matter. I think they're both great games. So my ears perked up right away when he was like announcing this guy because it's like, okay, this is someone that's been involved in all this stuff, like we talked about before. The other studio, the new one's okay. Has the recipe to cook. So let's see. This looked fantastic, and it was not what I expected because when like Bully, Red Dead stuff, I would eventually start to talk about on it. Okay, sci-fi, but I would have thought it might just be like another similar game to that, right? And we don't know the gameplay, but just the way when that person comes on the bike, they call, I think it's the Last Sentinel, or they call him the demon thing they in the trailer. But when she jumps off the bike, she's doing all these things. Like, this is not action that was in Red Dead or GTA. So I feel like this is a guy that could have been, hey, I do these parts of the games, but I really wish the action could be like that. Because we know Grand Theft Auto 6, Red Dead 3, we're still going to get that same type of, rickety like Rockstar. It's a
the
staple.
jump
now, right?
is always going to be janky.
Yeah, it's like, but that's the way they are, right? Where this looks like someone went, no, I don't really want to do that. So it was just cinematic. We have to see. Cinematic was great. I thought it was like a home run of like, okay, very interested. So this is another one that I'm hoping that comes out, great game, and boom, we got. I think they said they're LA Stars, LA Speed, something like their studio name. But I hope this game comes out like boom, we got another big, like, because the guy said it's a AAA game. So I hope it's like the studio comes out, hits a home run, like, okay, we got another shark in the water. So yeah, this looks great. I love that the mother daughter thing and that good reveal when she asks if mom's okay and it's a robot face. So this is high on the radar now for just intrigue. For the want, we'll have to wait till we hear more what the game is, what is it, but really good first impression for me.
Nice. Any thoughts on this one, Taylor?
I'm like you, Travis. I need to see more, but first impression is it's pretty cool. The robot mother vibe was very freaky, but just when the demon popped in, just fucking went to town. I was like, this is sick.
Yeah, they grabbed my attention with it, but yeah, I definitely in the boat. I got to see a bit more, and you never know with a new studio what's going to happen. Then there was a musical sequence for Alan Wake 2, which I just loved. If you've played the game and you know that sequence from the game, it was very cathartic to see it like in person on the stage. So I loved it, and that song is like just an earworm for me now. So it was.
I
great.
muted it and turned away just because you said that, and I just because I not bad. I didn't want to be
You don't wanna spoil
spoiled.
anything.
Yeah, because you had said before like, oh, this is like what they do in the game. It's like, nope, I want to experience most of this. So that's not because I was like, fuck this, I really hate the music. No, I was like, no, I want to intake this, forget about it. So
Yeah, that was sick.
the crowd was vibing with it though. I think everyone was pretty happy with
Yes.
that. Alan Wake seemed like, even though it didn't win the big one, seemed like everyone was.
It got like
Lots of
3 or
lo-
4
Yeah.
different ones. So it got
Lots
a
of
couple
love for
different
that game.
speeches from Sam Lake. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Exoborn Master the Apocalypse is the name of this next game. From devs that worked on The Division. You know, put in my notes, I gotta say, I kind of forget what this one... Or wait, this is the one that had like the big tornado at some point. There's a guy like flinging a bus around or something, right? Is that the one?
I think
Looked
you're right.
pretty
but-
wild. Looked pretty wild, but once again, I don't really know what the gameplay part of it. It seems like a multiplayer thing, so don't know if it's my cup of tea, but it looked like visually it was pretty wild, some of the effects going on, so...
Yeah, for
Cool.
me,
Keep an eye
it
on
was
that
just that one was like a pure just. It's weird because last Sentinel, I guess it wasn't pure action, but this one just there was so much action that it just didn't. Because when it's just
Little
when it's
something more.
yeah, if it's gameplay action, then sure. But when it's a cinematic, it's like okay, is this what's gonna be? So yeah, it didn't leave an impression on me there.
Asgard's Wrath 2 is a VR game with Loki and the crew, Valhalla. Any,
I was gonna say I was disappointed it wasn't titled Valhalla, but no, I got nothing on that.
Yeah, and we got a what they called a new look at Fallout. Now, to my eye, there was nothing new in that look. Am I
There was
wrong?
a couple scenes.
Okay, what was the
beginning
new
of-
scenes?
That beginning with Walton Goggin, like in the
Okay,
black
but
and
that's
white.
just like a promotional shot. That's
Yeah.
not like from the show, right?
No, that's from the show. I think because he's introducing the story. I think Walton Goggins is going to have 2 roles now. I think
Oh, okay.
I was kind of hoping that beginning when he was doing the intro, like, oh, they're going to lean into more of the cheesy side Fallout, and they didn't. So there's just that, but that was pretty much it. It was just to get the cast there and to get the Fallout armor there, and you know,
the Brotherhood of Steel. I mean, I thought they were fun. I like their little
yeah,
joke to God Howard over there on the chair. I thought that was funny.
can never be disappointed with Walton Goggins. You know,
He's good. Yeah.
Todd Howard looked really like unimpressed, and the camera just focused in on him.
I think that was
They
for
were-
the bit. I think that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think Todd
He
Howard
was
just
salty
doesn't-
that Starfield got just absolutely grilled and didn't win a single award.
Yeah, and they had that weird trailer tonight too, where they like showed all the reviews, and then at the end, it's like, "Congrats to all the winners."
Yeah.
Like this feels
Like,
very odd.
do some announcement. It's so dumb.
Yeah,
I love the game. The next up was Light No Fire, another title that I guarantee I'm going to forget this next week.
Terrible title.
So this is the next game from No Man's Sky Studio, Hello Games. They've been working on this for 5 years, is what they said. And, you know, once again, it's Sean Murray making the biggest promises of all time, just like the initial announcement in No Man's Sky, where he said, this is the first truly open world game, which is like, you're such a pretentious piece of like, I'm just, this guy bothers me so much sometimes because he's just such a liar. He's such a freaking liar. So
it's
they,
consistent, I guess.
what they're creating is one full globe, so rather than a galaxy, they're just making one planet that's as
good.
detailed as that whole galaxy. He said it's
Smart.
the most ambitious game of all time, or more ambitious than their last game, I guess, which is like, okay, man, sounds good. It's got some fantasy elements, very multiplayer focused. Even Keeley, I feel like, was really digging at him. Like, come on, man.
You
Like,
sure you want to say this?
yeah, you're
it's
kind of
a-
BSing us here. So I don't know. I just got to take everything that these guys say with a massive grain of salt. Like, of course, No Man's Sky seems like it's gotten to a point now where it is amazing, and they did that little like reel of here's all the DLCs that have come out, and that's cool and all. But like, if you're also going to release this game in essentially early access, and then like kind of lie that it's this big thing, but then like in 10 years it's actually going to be that game that S-Bubs was joking about in our Discord, like. Cool and all, but I can't buy what this guy's selling anymore. So, I mean, No Man's Sky, I played it at the time, but I don't think I'll be buying this one day one like I did with that game. So, yeah, hopefully it's as good as he says it is, because then it will be the best game ever made, apparently. So.
One, it won't be. So here's the pause I'll try and take on this is hopefully, because he said, oh, we're really nervous. So that did show that. I just wonder if this guy feels that this is his idea of selling the game, right? It has to be, because there's a guy like that in professional wrestling. He runs a promotion I like, but everything's always like the big announcement, huge announcement. Sometimes it's like dude, it's just an announcement. Like, you don't need to hype this up so much. So I just feel like if that's how this guy operates, but him saying, oh, we're a little nervous about this, did show, okay, maybe they know what happened. And my hope is that they saw what happened last time. You'd have to be an idiot not to learn from that experience. So they should take everything that went down, incorporate
That's why I was
it into
concerned
here.
when he seemed to be the same guy doing the
Yes.
same thing again.
So that's why I'm hoping it's just kind of like a tick, and maybe that's it. But what they did show, I was really interested in. Again, that kind of got me. Same thing with No Man's Sky, but I think No Man's Sky was a situation where the more it went on, I was less interested, and then once it came out, it wasn't really for me. I never went back to it. This, though, off the hop, looks like it's a little more interesting. I love that it's really fantasy, and it's fantasy in the sense of like you're playing as like a monkey soldier. Like, it's not like that. Like me and Taylor have been playing all the time in Star Wars, where it's like, there's so many Star Wars games, but it's always like you're a white dude, and there's all these like, let's play an alien, let us pick. Like, there's thousands of races in Star Wars. Like, let us be a fucking Jar Jar Binks person, or let us be what Plo Koon is. Like, so I like this. They were showing like, hey, you're like like a mouse soldier, you're a monkey, like whatever that is. Like, okay, that's cool. Like you could so. It looked, the potential is there, much like No Man's Sky. So I'm just hoping that they learned from last time. Is it going to be as great as what he's saying? Probably not. But the globe thing's good, because I think you and I even said this about Starfield, where it would have been better to reduce some of that and then just make more bigger planets for the most part, right? So I think that is a good idea. So this is, I'm keeping an eye on. I want it to be great. I don't like the title because it's just Light No Fire. Like, it's a weird, like, I don't know. It's just a weird, like, double negative in a way. So, but I'm pulling for him. Because I liked what I saw. What I saw, I was really digging, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So,
How about you, Taylor? Are you going to be buying this one?
I mean, No Man's Sky, I've installed it, I've deleted it, installed it, deleted it. Never actually played it, but I've wanted to get
Poor hard
into
drive.
it. And so this intrigues me. It really, really does. And I feel like one of the deterrents for No Man's Sky is because they've put in so much work and turned that game around from what I've heard and really turned it into something. I feel like I missed maybe my shot to get into it and take advantage of these changes and progress through the game at this point. But this being a fresh start and being much more contained to one planet, and just the scale of being able to just be in your camp, hop on your giant bird, which was really cool, or
Yeah.
your dragon, and just fly off into the distance. Like, it feels very much a very accessible open world, and it really does get me excited. And it doesn't feel like it's very limited to how far you can really trek, but it has ways to expedite, but not like fast travel, if that makes sense, but just ways to really help streamline your traveling and adventuring experience in the game. It being very fantasy is cool. It makes me think of, it's kind of like a Fable-esque mixed with some other type of open world RPG kind of game. It just looks like a fun time, so I'm pretty interested.
Mm-hmm.
how we still not heard anything about Fable? I'm not sure. I just feel like,
No, you're
like
not wrong.
I was expecting this show multiple times. It's like a world we haven't seen in a while. Take a look. I'm like, oh, this has to be Fable, right? It's like, jeez. Like,
I think they've had a lot of people like leave the studio and whatnot.
Nice.
So I think it's been a rocky development on that one.
Good.
Very exciting stuff. There was that trailer for Stormgate. We kind of talked about that. The finals, which was, this crazy first-person shooter with just tons of destructibility and physics objects and stuff. Kind of confused because I thought this game came out like a couple months ago, but maybe that was like a beta that only certain people had access to. I just remember people talking about it on podcasts, so it sounded like the game was out, but I must have missed some details there. But I guess that's finally coming out this month or something to that effect. Maybe it was a shadow drop. I can't remember. And then they closed it. Well, actually, before they closed it out, was there any games that I skipped from your guys' list?
No, I'm looking down this list right now, and any games
We did
that you
talk about
skipped
most
are-
of it, I feel like. But
Yeah, no, nothing that I would have
spicy.
shut out. Yeah.
nice. Okay, then the last one was Monster Hunter Wilds. So this seems to be the next full kind of Monster Hunter game because there was, Monster Hunter World, and then what was the Switch one? Monster Hunter.
Was it like Iceland or Ice something? Or...
That was a DLC for World. And then Monster Hunter Rises, I think, was the Switch kind of exclusive one. But it seems kind of like the sequel to World, so to speak, which also I think makes sense. World to Wilds, whatever is going on here. Yeah, I gotta say, like, for the closer, I don't think I'm alone here. Like, just a very lackluster trailer. Like, I think Monster Hunter could be a good big hype game. I think when you when I look at the other announcements in the show, there's maybe a couple good ones I'd sub into that big final one. But I just felt like the actual showcase here was pretty weak. Like there was very little in here. And then even like they had the people come up and talk about the game, and they were like, tune in the summer for more info. It's like, I feel like this is your stage. This is the biggest stage of all time. You have right before Game of the Year. Like this is where you share stuff. You don't obviously want to get people hyped for the future, but I feel like that's not the time to just like say, here's our other announcement. So just kind of a weird choice. I didn't think it was awful by any means, but just a bit lackluster. I'm also not a big Monster Hunter guy, so obviously take that with a grain of salt. But I think, Travis, you're probably in the same boat as me there.
Yeah, and it's tough because I think we had this with Summer Games Fest and we're, I think, 50-50 because in our Discord we have a lot of people that do like Final Fantasy, but then all my timeline was, oh, they just ended on Final Fantasy for Summer Games Fest. I feel like Keeley is maybe not the best at like, and here's the last thing. I feel like that's when you got to go for, and even to me, Blade was more, and it's not because I'm a Marvel guy, just because it had that surprise of like, whoa, what is this? Like, it just felt like out of the big things that happened, this was a smaller tier, but I get that they have a big fan base, right? Same way as Final Fantasy. They have a big, like, I don't know, big, like both of them, I guess, have a relatively large site, but they have a very dedicated fan base that is going to be very hyped for that. So, but for me, yeah, I'm not in Monster Hunter, not jumping in there right now. And I just felt it was a strange, like I said, Kojima, even if you didn't see stuff, to me, that was just like, because the star power of him and Peel and the setup, this was just, it was an odd one to end at, but oh well.
And Taylor, I feel like either you've played or like I feel like it's a very Ruben kind of game. But yeah, any hype for Wilds going on over here?
I'm hyped to see other people play it. When I was younger, my cousin had Monster Hunter. He had Monster Hunter 3 on Wii, and so I go over to his house just to hang out. He'd be playing that like crazy, and it was
there
super
motion
cool.
control in that one, or you like?
There was a little motion control. Yeah,
nice.
It was a lot of fun to watch though, and just everything he was doing, and like crafting and just hunting down the monsters. Very cool. So that was my first experience and introduction with Monster Hunter. Jump forward a few years, then Ruben's just going hard on Monster Hunter World.
Real life, he's looking for.
He's looking for those fucking monsters.
Yeah,
they should show that in the trailer for Monster Hunter Now. They had that kind of live action thing.
True. Yeah.
So getting just to kind of see and I know there's Monster Hunters in between, but getting to see like for me the transition between 3 and World, it's just like, oh my god, this is just a crazy new system that they built, a mechanic with this Monster Hunter game. And then obviously you have the fucking movie with Mila Jovovich. Holy shit, I love that movie. And Tony Jaa, fantastic banger flick. So happy about that movie. But
banger flick.
Yeah, that's my Monster Hunter. That came out, I think, during COVID.
Okay.
And it came out like during Christmas time too. It was very, very weird.
Yeah, you're right. Because I don't think, did we even get a theatrical release here for it? I don't think we did, but I thought it made bank in the foreign markets.
I had to. They released it like digitally in a very weird time. It was very tricky, but
T.I. was in there. Wow.
T.I.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see Ruben play this game. I'm sure I will.
Nice. I love that.
Glad we're ending the Sidequest episode on T.I.
Yeah, not where you want to end a side quest, but no, I mean, man, what a show! Like these are the games that I wrote down that I'm like, putting on my list to keep an eye on. Is Pony Island 2, Exodus, the God of War Ragnarok DLC, Big Walk, Kamuri, No Rest for the Wicked, The Casting of Frank Stone, Outlast Trials, OD, Jurassic Park Survival, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, Blade, Last Sentinel, Light No Fire. Like that's a lot of games, and a lot of those are new announcements here or good showings, and along with like a nice, well-paced show and fun people popping up on stage. It was a good time. That was a really fun night. Once again, thank you everyone in the Discord for hanging out. Thank you, boys, for joining me here. And yeah, like I said, next week we're kind of getting into the Game of the Year stuff here on Sidequest. So that's going to be a fun time. Travis, what's up?
Two things. One, what was the name of that Thor or that God of War DLC?
Ragnarok Valhalla.
Right, that was one. And two, what would you give this out of 5 for if you're rating as a conference or a show?
Yeah, I can't give it a perfect rating. But for me, it's like pretty damn close. I think I'd go like a 4.5 because it's like there's room for improvement. But like I was very impressed all around. How about you?
That's exactly where I am. I'm the same person that continues.
I thought you'd be lower actually, but that's good to hear.
Because it's just if you just let them talk a bit longer, that's a 5 for me. Like nothing else. Like, I would even excuse like for me being Monster Hunter that being front loaded. I would say, well, at least I got to talk. Like there's this video going around right now of the guy that wins Baldur's Gate and has the middle in the middle of a speech as he's talking about his friend that passed away during the development of this game, it flashes like, please wrap it up. And it's like, yeah, that's super shitty. You know, like that's the time where you'd be like,
God.
cut it. You know, like don't like, so that's where it's just like, that's super disappointing for me. And I hope that Keeley learns that. But I actually do worry the show's going to be more like this in the future. Because Dylan is right. There's where you can go those out. I just want, because it is the biggest stage.
There's a fine line
8
between
million people.
Christopher Judge talking for literally 10 minutes.
Yes.
And then someone getting, 30 seconds to talk about their game. It's just like game of the year. There's a fine line.
And I joked, I said it'd be a 5 out of 5. It's not. I'm unlike Dylan. I love the Muppets. They're part of my childhood. It was great. Gonzo got whatever 5 minutes.
That's an easy Gonzo.
Yeah,
Kick that
that's an
out,
easy. Yeah,
That
and
was very cringe.
that doesn't bring anybody in. That's just because, and I get it. Keeley loves the Muppets, but there's stuff like that where get rid of that. Give that even 5 minutes. Space out 30 seconds more for each speech. Like there's cuts to be made. Gonzo, like I don't know unless Disney's writing him a big fat check for Gonzo to be there, and maybe that's the case. Get rid of it.
No, that's a Keeley want. That's
Yeah, I know.
Taylor, what's your rating out of 5 for this guy?
I'd probably go 4 to 5.
Okay.
There was enough to keep me engaged. I was having a good time, having fun, and I think just being in the Discord too, and just seeing everyone's excitement for things, just riding off of that helps make it a little bit more invigorating. But yeah,
Good stuff. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you again in a few days. Bye bye.